Welcome. My name is Jolene Thomas and I'm the course coordinator of the dietetic programs here at Flinders, so both the masters that you're all here for this morning and also the undergraduate bachelor program that will join us, the new bachelor students will join us at 10 o'clock. So the room will get a little bit fuller hopefully as time wears on this morning. So welcome to the masters, welcome to Flinders. How many of you are Flinders students already, like you've been here and done your undergrad? A few, but not a whole lot of you. So normally we have a few more Flinders students in the crowd, but that's good to see that we've got others that have joined us from other universities. Anyone from interstate? Yeah, thanks, Billy. Okay, all right. So just a little bit about me. So I guess I graduated from the Dietetics program here at Flinders a few more years ago than I care to remember now, and started working as a clinical dietitian. So I had one of the new grad positions at the Royal Adelaide for a couple of years, and then over the following years I worked at the Recat General Hospital before that closed down, and here at Flinders Medical Centre as well. Partway through that part of my career, I moved here to Flinders and worked part-time here at Flinders as an academic and still part-time clinical. And then in 2008 or 2009, I came here full-time and I've been here since then. So I've been here quite a while, mainly teaching the clinical topics during that time that are in sort of the first year masters and the third year bachelor, and then have sort of moved into some of the research topics as well for both programs in the last couple of years. So I completed my PhD in 2020, so I can't believe it's nearly 3 years ago. So started that sort of later on in my career, worked for a while and then did that part-time while working here in the discipline at the same time. So finished that in 2020, and since then I've sort of been teaching more into some of the research topics. So what I might get you to do to start off, rather than jump straight into the slides, a little bit about me, is I thought that what we would do is I think we'll get in as sort of half boys, half girls. So we'll mix you up to start off with, and also what I'd like you to do is potentially think of something about yourself, whether it's a hobby or whether it's your favourite travel destination or something, a fact about you, and have a chat to different people in the room to see whether you can find someone who has a similar hobby or a similar fact, travel destination to yourselves. So introduce yourselves. What's brought you here, and what's the fact about yourself. Just so that you have to get up, you have to move, you have to talk to each other. All right. So I'll give you 10 minutes or so to do that, and then we'll jump into me doing more talking. So don't be shy. You're going to get lots of this. You're going to get lots of us making you move around, talk to each other. We might have to push you out of your comfort zone sometimes.
Maybe it'd be different, but like after everything.
Yeah.
Did you do any nutrition? Oh wow. I did a nutrition and exercise science degree in the city, and now I'm doing my master's in Yeah, well, I play soccer.
I love it.
Some of my friends saying, why don't you just be a personal trainer? Like just learn nutrition, learn about exercise. I mean, it's different, but there's a strong relationship. So there's all this saying like the exercise as well. So like I wouldn't want you to do this like a double degree course program like natural nutrition,
Yes. Yeah, similar
or nutrition science. So it doesn't really make you become a dietitian. Well, I want to be a dietitian. I don't think about
like nutritionists and dietitians, they kind of like so like it's here, and this is professional.
Every day I'm like,
So you already have a master's degree.
No, that's my bachelor's degree actually. I qualified myself as a nutritionist.
Yeah. So like, so that's the start of your,
Yes, basically.
yeah.
yeah, it's very,
I'm sure this will help.
I saw it on my timetable like a couple of weeks ago about super.
See, you're smarter than me. I don't think you've got I'm great. What was your I put you on the spot now. I always want to be good at that, but I'm really not. Like, I wish that I was. Like, but I'm just not. It's not my
Should be here at 10 a.m.
My friend can draw. Oh, right.
People misunderstood.
So hard.
It's okay. You're just keeping an ego.
I feel like it might be something I can know about it.
When is that?
And you know what? You'll be sitting in
It's
class
really
with master students one day as well, because there's some classes that cross over. So it's good to
Like people with nutrition will do.
That's right.
Nice to meet you.
Hello there, how are you? Welcome. I'm Jolene. Well, what we might do is we might grab a seat and move on. You can stay where you are, return back to where you were before. Okay, so before we get started into sort of the bit of information overload, I just want to acknowledge that the lands that we meet on today as traditional owners are the Kaurna people, and we pay respect and honour their elders past, present and emerging. So welcome to orientation. So obviously we're getting towards the end of the orientation week now, but it is going to go on into next week as well. So you'll find that there's activities around the university moving into next week, and even the week after, really, if we look at that date. And I guess one of the key things is to make the most of this time, particularly those of you that are new to Flinders. It is an opportunity for you to seek out some of the activities and the tours and the things that are here at Flinders. Most of you will be based sort of around here and health sciences, but it's well worth going and exploring the other end of the University up at Bedford Park campus, and that's sort of the nice end with the lake and all of that kind of thing, so that you can get to know the area a little bit better. So I guess just some of the sort of more formal, general stuff before we get into the dietetic focused information. I guess if you haven't already, now is the time to sort of establish all of those basic kind of administration or admin tasks that you need to do to kind of get yourself all organised, ready for the year ahead. So making sure that you log into Flow or Canvas. So at the moment, the learning management system here at Flinders has been what we call Flow. However, we're in that kind of transition phase, as we tend to be a lot, of moving into a new management system, which is the Canvas system. You'll probably find that all of your semester 1 topics will remain on Flow, but as we go through the year and into semester 2, some of them will you'll start appearing on Canvas. Don't worry too much about it, but if you're doing electives this semester, some of them might be on Canvas, so just be aware of that. So get familiar with how Flinders and the university works and some of the things and the tricks and shortcuts that you might need over the coming couple of years. So, I guess obviously today is the first day of the next phase of, it's studies, but this is sort of the first day of your career. And at 10 o'clock we're going to have someone from Career Services come and talk to you about planning out your career, what you can be doing over the next couple of years to forge your way into the remainder of your career. So we'll talk a little bit more about that later. The other thing that's sort of running alongside or in connection with orientation is Connect Week. Has anyone been to any of the activities or had a look at that? You're probably all too busy doing everything else and making the most of the last few days before you have to come to uni and study full time. So there is a Connect Week, which is kind of, I guess, more of the social side of orientation and university life. So you'll find there's different activities, sort of fringe type activities that are here, clubs information. Most of that is held up at the main campus, up at Bedford Park main campus. So it's worthwhile having a wander up there and seeing what you can find and what you think you might be interested in terms of activities moving forward. So some top tips, I'm sure that everyone is already on the social media, have those already attached to your own social media. Join the student association, so join FUSA, and they're also seeking lots of support where needed. So I just needed to sort of jump through some of that. In terms of the program for today, so at the moment, for the first hour, we're just going to be looking at the master's program, maybe have a little bit of time at the end for a bit more of mingling. And then at 10 o'clock, the first year, the new B&D students, so the undergrad students will join us, and we'll start with sort of career planning, because that's applicable to both cohorts, and some general orientation. At 11 o'clock, we will be looking at sort of student support and student engagement, how you can get involved in your profession, etc. And then at 11:30, we'll end with the B&Ds joining some of their peer mentors, and I'll be around for the MNDs if you've got any questions. MNDs can then head off for the day and maybe go and explore the university, and the B&D students, that's where we'll then focus on the information relevant to that program. So in terms of what we're going to do, I just talked about that, so I won't worry about that. So the Masters, hopefully, I think most of you in here have the Masters program. As you'd all be aware, you're sort of starting a 2-year part of your career. So it sounds like a long time, but it'll be gone in a flash. The purpose of the program and the outcomes of the program is really to produce graduates that can promote evidence-based nutrition, that you'll all be able to provide medical nutrition therapy with the intent to prevent illness, not only in individuals, but in communities as well. So we focus on the individual level, community and policy level. And at the end of this, you'll be able to be working in a range of different spheres. So, we're not training just clinical dietitians or just community dietitians. you'll graduate from here and be able to work in a whole range of spheres, some of which probably don't even exist as yet. And we find as the years go by, the landscape of dietetic work changes quite dramatically. So, you know, the traditional roles of the clinical dietitian, yes, they're still there, but there's a lot more roles in sort of, you know, the marketing, the fitness industry, you know, lots more diverse, aged care, etc. So it does sort of have swings and roundabouts, and it does change over time. So I'm not going to read these out word for word, because you can look these up on the course handbook page if you're really keen to know them verbatim. You won't be tested on them, so just know that they're there. And really the key thing is that the aim of the program is to produce competent and professional nutritionists and dietitians that can take all the information that you learn in terms of the science, the theory, the practicalities, into something that you can work with individuals and communities to promote health and prevent illness and treat illness. We also equip you with skills to conduct research and appraise scientific literature, and maybe contribute, to evidence down the track. And then they're the sort of general course aims, so the general MNDs. And then for those of you that are eligible and interested in the minors and the research stream, there are specific then course aims and learning outcomes for those particular minors, which I'll get to in a moment. So you should have all received from me by email a study plan. Yeah. If you haven't, then please flag it to me, because every day I go on the system and there's a new person, so I've been trying to kind of make sure I catch up and make sure that everybody is covered. But you should have all received a study plan form from me. And that study plan is obviously based on the core topics, which you'll see on the screen in front of you. But then depending on your sort of previous studies, so whether you have come in with a nutrition undergrad degree, whether you're a Flinders BHN or BHS student, and a whole other gamut of sort of criteria, you will then have sort of been advised on what electives you're eligible for, or what you can choose from. So in theory, there are 4 electives, 4 elective spaces in the Masters. Some of you may have been sort of instructed, for want of a better word, to take some electives that you need in terms of meeting some learning that you haven't already covered in your undergrad degree. And that's so that at the end, you're eligible for accreditation, accredited dietitian status, and also we maintain our accreditation status as a program. Some of you will have been sort of advised that you are eligible to undertake a minor or the research stream if you so wish. It's not, not compulsory, you don't have to, but we do have minors in rural and remote health and a minor in disability. Is anyone undertaking any of the minors, I think? Not at this stage? Okay. So it is, you still can make a decision, you can still change, your enrolments at the moment. So if you are eligible, with those 2 minors, they've been created and they're new this year in sort of priority key areas that allied health disciplines work in. So obviously rural and remote health has a focus on Indigenous health, and disability is also a growing area and one of the sort of key areas of focus for health services. And so if you undertake one of those minors, at the end you still graduate as a dietitian the same as everybody else, but it does give you that extra sort of flavour to your degree and your extra skills and knowledge that I guess stands you apart from some of the others in the class that may not have undertaken a minor. With the rural and remote health minor, we also then aim for anyone that takes it is to make sure that one of your placements is in an area where you can be exposed to Indigenous health and rural and remote health issues. The other one is the research stream. I don't think anyone at this stage has indicated that that's something that they're wanting to take, but that's the purpose of the research stream is for those of you in particular that think you might be interested in doing a PhD or like a research career, and that research minor will give you enough units to make you eligible for a PhD scholarship down the track. Okay, whereas the normal masters, there's not enough units to be eligible for a PhD. Something to think about. I'm happy to discuss those things with you on an individual basis. But for those of you that aren't keen to take on a minor, then there's a range of option topics that you would have seen on the on the web page, and it's kind of, you know, I call it a taster of practice areas. You can kind of choose something from different areas that you think will be of interest, and, you know, undertake your elective space that way. Oh, so let's get back to, sorry, previous. So in terms of core topics that you'll all take, in semester 2, in semester 1, there's the first 2 topics, and I guess, you know, those of you that have come from a nutrition undergrad degree, you know, you've kind of learned a lot about nutrition. You may have varying degrees of experience in terms of working and learning to, you know, to practice with individuals. So the nutrition care process topic is, and the communication topic is where you start, I guess, learning and working as a dietitian. So you'll learn sort of how to work with individuals, you'll learn about lifestyle conditions and how to manage them, and then you'll have the communication topic where you will be practicing how to actually interview and how to start educating and counselling clients. So that's semester 1. And then in semester 2, you'll all do the 9 units, so it's equivalent to 2 topics, clinical topic in semester 2 and the food service and professional practice topic. So those 2 are the ones that get you ready for placement in second year. Right? And they build upon from the topics in semester 1. And then when you're done with all of that, then next year, which will be here before we know it, you'll move into year 2. And the year 2 program, you do have 1 option topic that you can do, but you have 2 research topics, so 1 in the first half and 1 in the second half of the year that are kind of running overlaid your placement topics. So you'll do a 10-week clinical placement, a 4-week food service placement, and a 7-week community health placement. So they're the 3 placements. And I'm just looking, that one shouldn't be there. That one there. Okay, not that one there. 9167 is a year 1 topic, so ignore that one. So you'll do the 3 placement topics and an option topic, and the 2 research topics in year 2. Okay, so that's the full-time study load. Any questions about? Anyone have any comments or questions? Hi.
Do we have any placement this year?
So yes, so I'll come to that in a moment. But yeah, you do have some placements. So in terms of option topics, so there's the long list. Independent studies is on the list, and it's a 9-1 topic, but that's actually one that you would do in second year if you're interested. Okay. The reason being is that it's in like a kind of a block, like our rostered system is in second year. And that it fits within a block rather than a semester, so it just doesn't work with year 1 topics. Okay, but all the others are available in various semesters, so it's just a matter of finding one that fits within your availability. Many of them are online, which is also attractive for a lot of students in terms of if you're working and so on. So I'm pretty sure most of you have enrolled. When I checked, most of you are enrolled, at least in core topics. So just making sure that, you know, check your enrolment before we start, and make sure that you've registered for all your classes, because sometimes that's the sort of the bit that the next step that gets missed, is that not only enrolling the topics, but making sure you go and choose your tutorial classes and so on, so that you can pick something that fits within all of the other things that you have to do in life. And I know that, you know, all of you are probably busy with work and families and so on. So if there's an issue with your registering, then just let us know, because sometimes there's wait lists on classes and caps on classes, so just keep us posted if there's any issues. Crucial dates. So you do have until the 10th of March, so the end of week 2, to enrol or change your enrolment. So if you've made a choice of electives and you go week 1 and you think you're not going to be keen, then you do have an opportunity to change it up until the end of week 2, and that's when your fees start coming out. Census date is the 31st of March, so if something happens and you're doing a topic and you don't want to continue, you can still withdraw up until the 31st of March and not have to pay any fees for that topic, but then it's too late to enrol in anything else. So just keep that in mind. And then there's the 2 sort of like last day to withdraw with and without failure, which is later in the semester. So keep those in the back of mind just in case you need to make some changes. But if you do need to make changes, please let me know before you go ahead and change them, because sometimes a small change actually has a big flow-on effect to the rest of your degree. So placements, and I guess this is the kind of the thing where everyone gets excited, maybe daunted, but it's the time when you start getting out there and seeing it and doing, excuse me, seeing and doing some of the things that you hope to be doing at the end of your career, and that you'll be learning the basics in semester 1 to then move into into year 2 placements, which are much more sort of full-on placements. So 2 placements in semester 1 that sit within the core topics. So you'll do a ward placement as part of the communication and counselling topic, and you'll be allocated a 3 to 4 week block a little bit later in semester 1, where you'll be allocated to a ward somewhere in Adelaide, so a hospital in the metro area, and your place of residence is considered, and whether you've got a car and so on. And you'll be allocated to that ward, and it's your responsibility to go to that ward when you can and practice your interviewing skills. And there's assessment around it, and minimum number of interviews and things that you'll hear about in that topic intro session next week. So that's a little bit later. And then you've got an observational placement, which is the equivalent of 2 days full-time. Some students do it as 2 full days in the mid-semester break, or split it up according to what fits for you and the organisation where you're going to. And some of those are in regional areas, so things like Whyalla and so on, and many of them are here. And what happens with that is there'll be a sign-up sheet posted in that topic flow site. You'll be alerted to that, and you basically get in and sign up for a placement on a first in, best dressed basis. And that placement is purely observational, shadowing, following around a dietitians, and also hopefully other allied health professionals to get an idea of what they do in their day-to-day work. Because sometimes we find that students get to this point and they actually don't have a clear idea of what a dietitian does. So we put that there so that you can have a look, and hopefully you still want to do it, but it's there to kind of flag what it's all about. Hopefully you've all received an email from the placements team that sort of outlines what you need to get ready for pre-placement, so for placements. So there's a number of things that you need to get organised, and you will not be able to go on placement until those things are all done. Okay, so we're not allowed to let you go onto the wards or wherever without your criminal history clearances, so your police clearances, and your immunisations. Okay, immunisations include COVID and its boosters. Okay, so if for any reason you can't have immunisations, or you don't want to have immunisations, then please let me know, because we'll need to have a discussion about the implications of that. But there are other things that you'll need to do as well, like get masks fitted, so you all get to walk around in those lovely hard masks, and some of the other things as well. But there is a checklist that you can download off the website if you haven't already, to start ticking off those things. We do have a placement uniform. Basically it's like a polo shirt or a shirt, navy with nutrition and dietetics and Flinders symbols on it. It's optional. It's optional for these placements. It's optional for second year placements as well, so you don't have to get it. Lots of students like them because when you go onto the ward, people know who you are, and they don't think, oh, Bree looks like the speech pathologist, and you get asked questions about the speech pathology stuff. So, the students like that because, it makes you visible and people know who you are. You don't get asked curly questions like doctor questions and all of those kind of things, and then have to say, sorry, I've got no idea, I'm a dietetic student. So information for that is on the dietetic flow page. So again, it's up to you whether you get that, but some students like them. It also means that it's easier to wear a uniform than find clothes for every day. So in terms of placement key partners, they do change slightly year to year, but these are our sort of key ones. So we have placements available, and this is for first year and second year, at Carlin, Sarlin and Narlin. So, and they're sort of organisations below that, so the RA and QEH. I'll put these slides up on the flow page if you like, so you don't have to write things down too much. And Hampstead. Sarlin is obviously FMC Noarlunga and the Rehab and Palliative Care Services, which is based over at Flinders. You've got Narlin out to the north. We've got the Women's and Children's Hospital. And then we've got country and interstate. So we have Mount Gambier and Port Lincoln Health Services on board this year. And interstate, we are mainly Northern Territory, so Royal Darwin, Alice Springs, Gove, and some of the community health services in those regions. And then we also have Burnie in Tasmania. So if you're a Northern Territory student or a Tasmanian student, then we try and send you back to those areas for your placements. But, you know, the options are there for everybody else as well. It's likely in year 2 that you will all be allocated, it's likely a rural or interstate placement. So just a flag for that, okay? Particularly, and rural can be anywhere from Mount Barker to Port Lincoln. So, you know, rural has quite a diverse range, but just to flag it to you so that you're not surprised. In the semester 1 observational placement, there are rural places available. I always suggest that you go and, if you can, go and do a rural one for 2 days. If you don't like it, it's only 2 days, but it's also kind of a bit of a advertisement for what it might be like if you go to placement in year 2. Okay, so sometimes if people are daunted, it's a nice sort of taster to see what it's like before you have to go in year 2. And then we also have sort of key partners for the community public health. So those first ones are sort of more aligned with the clinical and food service placements. And then for community public health, again, we have a range here in South Australia and some interstate as well. So there's 2 in Tassie and Northern Territory, but also one in Victoria as well. And just to note, with all placements in second year, you don't have to organise your placements, we do all that for you. So you'll get allocated and rostered accordingly. And you'll hear more about that sort of later in the year in terms of the rostering. I guess something to note before I forget is that obviously this year we run from next week to the end of November, roughly, in terms of with exams and things like that. Supplementary exams and supplementary tasks run in the first week of December. Okay, hopefully you don't need them, but just in case, flag that on your calendar. And then for second year, we return back sort of the second week of January. So that's when second year starts. So it's a long year, goes from the 2nd of January to December, but you're rostered onto placements over that time. So you might have a block of time where you're not on placement and all you've got is your research topics, and other times you'll be busy on placement. But just note, we start early, second week of January. So I always say don't go planning a 2-month trip around Europe or that kind of thing, because you'll miss all your plans. If you're flying home, also keep that in mind for international students. You don't want to book a flight for the 1st of December and then realise you need to repeat your oral exam or anything like that. All right, so just keep that in mind. So rural placements I've touched on. In year 2, just to flag this for you to have on your radar, we do have the option of mobility placements, which you would do within the independent studies option topic. And that's an opportunity for you to undertake a placement in another country. So the 3 countries that we currently have hosts and that we liaise with is the Philippines, Indonesia and Vanuatu. And what that involves is that you normally will go to one of those places, depending on the time of year, for about 3 weeks, and you'll undertake a nutrition project with the host organisation in that place. And it's usually sort of focused around undernutrition. We do have in Vanuatu, with Oceania Hockey, we do have some sports projects that go on over there. But it's something to think about if it's of interest, and there are sort of like scholarship type things available to help with the costs of that. The students have a fabulous experience. We've just had 2 come back from Vanuatu, and we've got a couple going to Indonesia soon. Other placement opportunities. I know that everyone's busy and you all have, obviously study, work outside of here, and other commitments. But we always say to students, get all the practice that you can and get all the exposure that you can to clients and working with patients. And so one of the opportunities that you can opt into this semester, and particularly in semester 2, is our Fragility Fracture Clinic, which is held down at Marion GP+. And this is a student-led clinic. It's supervised by dietitians, where you work with people who've had some kind of fragility fracture. So a lot are sort of older adults, and your level of involvement can change depending on your year level, your confidence, your skills. But basically it means going to that clinic with the dietitian and being either observing, actually collecting information, doing an assessment and counselling depending on how you feel. It's kind of, you know, sort of relatively straightforward cases, hence why it's a good one to get involved in if you can. Marion McAllister, who's our placement coordinator, organises that clinic, and there will be, if it's not already, a block on flow for you to tap into if you're interested in getting involved in that. So, any questions? Who's excited? Anyone's excited? Are you pumped? Or are you kind of thinking, oh, I just want the last few days of my holidays while the weather's a bit too warm? I can see we've got some new faces that joined part way through, so welcome. So any questions about placements or placement requirements? Yeah?
I do.
And sorry, just refresh me of your name.
Sophie.
Sophie.
So I think, yeah, in the email it said all placement requirements are due by Friday next week.
Yeah.
But things like the flu vaccine, for example, I can't find it available anywhere. So is it just kind of get it done, or should we book in to get it done by then?
Yes, so get everything in that you can.
Yeah.
I acknowledge, yeah, the flu vaccine isn't quite available yet for the sort of the new, this year's version. So put everything else in, and then you get your flu as soon as you can. Okay, and that way, you know, you can go on placement then as soon as you can. International students have got a little bit longer to account for police clearances and things like that. So you'll probably be rostered a little bit later in terms of your placements, so particularly for your ward placements. But sometimes police clearances come back quicker than we think. So hopefully, as soon as you've got it done, get it in, and you can be rostered and you can go on your observational placement. We've had, you know, in the past, students will book observational placements in and then can't go because of whatever's not come back. That's not ideal because we're kind of, you know, juggling the sites as well as yourselves. But it does happen, and you know, we try and limit it, but if it happens, we just renegotiate a time. Has anyone done any work experience with a dietitian? Not yet? No? Okay. And it's not easy to find work experience, I know that. So, you know, that's the good thing about doing some placements this semester, is that you'll get some exposure and experience. Okay, any other comments or questions?
For that 3-week to 4-week ward placement,
Yeah.
how long before will we know when that block is?
Oh,
for
yep,
this
so
semester?
fairly early on, so within the first couple of weeks of the topic, you should be rostered, and then you'll know where you are. And then, you know, with that placement, and Marion will tell you more about it next week, but with that placement, you know, it's not, you're not given a time to go. It's basically you go when you can. I'm losing my voice again. You go when you can around your other commitments. So we have some students will go, you know, sort of after uni on a Friday when they're not at uni, that kind of thing. And that gets negotiated. If there's any restrictions on when you can go, like some places you can't go on a Sunday, for example, then you'll be alerted to that. All right. And I guess what I would say is you have 3 to 4 weeks. You have a minimum, I think it's 8 interviews, unless it's been changed. I would do as many as I can. 8's the minimum. Do as many as you can, and don't think that you can go there for 2 days and get your 8 done, because often what happens is the first few will take you ages to read the case notes, for example, and then you'll talk, and someone, you know, you'll be talking to, I don't know, an older lady, and she'll just want to chat about everything else, and so you actually won't get much of your nutrition information. That's okay. You can do another one another day, because all of those kind of experiences are valuable. It helps you to learn of how you might redirect someone who's talking, but you know, it's useful just to get exposure to the setting and things like that. So, and often what might happen is you might read the case notes and plan to go and see, I don't know, Mrs. Jones, and when you get there, she gets taken off for a test, and then you've got to start again. So it's something that you will need to spread out over time. Any other questions?
Sorry.
Yeah, that's right.
For the flu vaccine question,
not available this year yet. That's the problem. Yeah.
Oh, okay, I understand.
Yeah, so you can
it's
submit
fine
your
that I
one for
can-
last one
Yeah.
and then see what they say. They might say, yeah, we'll take that, but you need to get the next one when
Yeah.
it comes available. Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, that's right.
Just with
What
the
was your name? Sorry,
Lamisha.
Lamisha.
Just with the police check, like if it doesn't arrive by like 3rd of March, one of those 6 students, like do we get flagged as being late or something? If it doesn't
No, you'll get an email to say we haven't received, and you can just respond and say I'm still waiting. But you know, it's something that you needed to get onto like yesterday, like as
Yeah.
soon as you can, and then just hopefully it comes back in time. Placement team know that it is something that can take time and that they get held up, but we put a deadline on it so that someone doesn't turn up and then decide to order it on the 3rd of March. But just do your best. All right, what I might do is, we've got about 15 minutes until the next lot join us, I know some have joined since everyone did the mingling, so now I want you to do it again, but with different people. So the purpose is that in this room, these are the people that you're all going to be spending the next 2 years with. Okay, these, apart from someone. But in terms of, these are the people that you'll be learning with, that you'll be on placement with, that you'll be supporting each other through the good and the not so good times. And you know, you'll see each other in the classroom and you'll see each other quite a lot. So, and work together on projects and things. So, and you'll also then be colleagues when you leave here. You know, you'll be working colleagues and you might find that you're working together, or one day one might be the boss of the other. Who knows? So what I might do is, obviously some of you spent time talking to someone, some is to actually switch it around and talk to someone different. So, you know, thinking about, you know, where you've come from in terms of your studies, you know, is there anything, you know, are you particularly thinking at this point in this early stage that you want to be a clinical dietitian, a community dietitian? Do you want to work with babies? Do you want to work with older adults? All of those things that you think now, and then in 2 years' time, it'd be interesting to see if it has changed. All right, so maybe if some of you want to go up the top and mingle around for about 10 minutes, and then we'll join the next group. Or if you need to go to the toilet, I should have said that, if you need the bathrooms, they're down the corridor on the left-hand side. So if you need to dash out, then do that. All right, so we've got until 10 o'clock. So we're going to have career planning with the B&D ones as well, so everyone join us at 10 o'clock, and we will then go through to some after that general stuff, some professional organisational information, so how you can sort of connect, and then the MNDs will finish at about 11:30, and then the B&Ds will continue a little bit later. So your MND.
Yeah.
Masters. Or your bachelor. Okay, that's all right. Yeah, that's right. So yeah, 10 o'clock. So you're going to be 10 o'clock, and we'll probably go through to about 12:30. We'll give you a break in the middle, but if you need to head off, that's right. So you're year one.
Yeah.
Yep. Excellent. Welcome.
Thank you.
studying the Bachelor of Nutrition first semester and I'm so confused between and but that's all to get
His family's speaking, so he was like,
so sometimes a week here, sometimes a week here. So I just wanted to go one of them. But I had a look here. I don't understand how this course actually works, like every few weeks, so like there's just comes a lot less in the first week and the next week there's no lessons. Even, I mean, even though you oh yes, the first 2 weeks so like we workshop days. Creepy like tutor wanted to be strictly lessons yeah. Right.
Wow, what are these? Oh, they're the, you know when you're having round table discussions, you put them on the table and then when they
It has further location.
It's amazing. That is a new one for me. It's good to see you in person. That's right, we came over here in person. Absolutely walked out. It's bloody hot and it's windy. But I wouldn't miss that walk for anything. Now, did you get my slides? I don't have it. Okay, I only sent them this morning. Oh, okay, I've just been here this week. Crazy week. So what do you want me to do? Have you got them on anything? Oh, God, I can tap them on my... or they implanted in your email. That's easy. Only just sent them. Okay. Like we've been, some of our events that maybe shouldn't have gone into the O-Week planner, went into the O-Week planner. And we've been totally slammed. Now it's just fun. You know, I can never get this thing changed. So my apologies, I've just been so heavily out. When my time's I don't want off to do it. If you want your outlook. Yes. I've never used it here. Well, I can, and I can show them around career hub as well at the same time. Okay, let's do that. All right. Sorry about that. No, that's fine. I'll leave you to log in. Yeah, no worries. While you do that. We got time, haven't we? Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I couldn't quite remember my...
Okay, while Meg gets set up, I might get you, those of you that have been sort of wandering around, to take your seats again. So it's great to see lots of conversation going on, and hopefully that means for the master's students you've met a few of your peers, and at least when you start next week you've got a few familiar faces. So obviously the room has just gotten suddenly much more full. As the first year B&D students have joined us. So welcome and thank you for coming to orientation session this morning. The masters have heard this, but my name is Jolene Thomas and I'm the course coordinator of the Dietetics programs here at Flinders, so both the bachelor and the master's programs. A little bit about me, so I graduated from Flinders many moons ago now. And worked as a clinical dietitian as a new grad at the Royal Adelaide Hospital, and then sort of moved around at the Repat Hospital when that was still open, and here at Flinders Medical Centre as well. During that part of my career, I also started working here part-time as a tutor and doing some marking and that kind of thing. And then in 2008, I joined Flinders Uni as a staff member, and sort of part-time and full-time. And now I'm here, I'm here permanently, so I'm not working out in the clinical practice at the moment. So I have mainly taught into the clinical topics through my time here at Flinders. I feel like I'm playing tennis, watching tennis. Through my time here at Flinders, but lately I finished my PhD in 2020, so started my PhD sort of later down the track, and then since then I've sort of been teaching into the research topics and being more involved in research. So I wear a few hats. As the course coordinator, I'm sort of your first port of call if you've got any questions, queries, problems, issues with your studies or the program. If you've got any feedback about the programs, whether it's positive or areas for improvement, shall we say, I'm always open to all of that feedback, because ultimately this is your place, this is your program as well as it is mine. And so, it's really important that it's a two-way street, and I hear from everybody at some point in time. I do get to know names. It takes me a little bit longer now than it used to. And so, please forgive me if I ask a number of times for names until it kind of cements into my brain. All right. But welcome to the B&Ds. So we're going to start off this session with Meg Alexander, who's from the Careers and Employability Service here at Flinders, who's going to talk to you about career planning. That's sort of the general heading that we've got for the session. However, I guess it's important to start thinking, even those of you that have come straight from school, or this is your first sort of foray into university study, today, or Monday shall we say, is the start of your career in nutrition and dietetics. So yes, you're students to start off with, but it's time to start, it's never too early, and it's time to start thinking of how your career is going to develop from Monday onwards. All right. So we're going to spend some time with Meg, and then we'll come back to hearing a little bit more from me. M&Ds we think we'll finish at around 11:30, quarter to 12. B&Ds probably around 12:30, but I'll give you a break in there at some point. All right.
Just having a little trouble with
Technical
the
difficulties?
slides coming up.
Okay.
We've certainly got Career Hub up there, but these guys are a bit on the ball.
Bit slow?
Yeah.
Is that OneDrive?
Yeah.
Okay.
Unless we download it.
Do you want me to start? Do you want me to try my emails?
Yep. Or let's just see. Sorry, guys. Hopefully get this up. Hang on.
It'll be a surprise if we get through the whole of today without a technical difficulty.
Yeah. I want to send a link. It opened before, and then it that's yours.
Yeah.
Hang on.
Maybe I'll open my emails.
Yeah, all right.
You can introduce yourself and
Sure.
have you in the meantime.
Okie dokie. So, if I just grab this. So, my name's Meg, and I'm a career consultant here at Flinders University. And in fact, I've worked here for over 25 years in careers, but also have a background in clinical psychology and working in community health and a whole range of areas like that. So, I've worked with nutrition and dietetics probably across that entire time, and it's a wonderful, wonderful privileged role in which to be. So what I'm going to do is to take you through some career development tips, some of the resources that you have available on Okie dokie.
It might be in the sent box.
Sent box, let's try that, because I would have just said that. Sorry guys, I just open that. Open, download maybe.
There we go.
And can we just get that up to full screen? Yeah, I think we might be there. Yes, great.
Okay.
So, so I want to share with you just some of those resources and career planning strategies that you can put into place over the time you have ahead of you at Flinders. Now, for some of you, that's the master's degree, 2 years ahead of you. For some of you, that's a 4-year process. Seems like a long time, but I know that probably those of you in the master's course know how quickly that time can fly. So it's wonderful to be in here right at the very commencement to give you some of these options and strategies and ideas. So what I'd firstly like to do is to acknowledge that we're delivering this workshop today from the lands of the Kaurna people, and that we pay our respects to their elders past, present and emerging. So the Kaurna country is one of the many lands and waters on which Flinders University operate. It might surprise you to see how many areas on which we have a presence. Careers and employability, that's who I work with. We've got 3 major pillars. So we've got our career education side, so as a career consultant, that's where I sit. We also have a professional development team. It's called the Horizon Professional Development Award. Is anyone in the room aware of that? Okay, because I'll take you through that. And we also have employer engagement. So we do a lot of employer activity and try and connect you with employers. So there's some really exciting events coming up that I'm going to share with you. So this is all about a load of different ideas, options and strategies. Not all of them might be relevant to you. It's really mix and match, pick and choose, and plan it out over your time here at Flinders. Now, we are located on Career Hub. And that is our platform, 24/7. You can access it 24/7. So I would invite you to open your devices, phone, computers, whatever you've got, and let's go on to Career Hub. So you just need to bring up your Okta dashboard. And find that Career Hub icon. It will invite you to log in if you haven't already done so. And quite understandable if you haven't, because this is basically day 1, isn't it? And what you will see there, just make sure that I'm on this. To go in again on this. Go. Yep, another code. So is everyone on the Okta? And finding Career Hub. So just looking for this one. Okay, so has everyone got to this page? Just give me some, yep. So you're going to see we've got course-specific resources, Horizon, and loads of jobs. So you can go to plan your career. There's a few clicks. Course-specific resources. You're in the College of Nursing and Health Sciences, and you're in Allied Health. And Nutrition and Dietetics. So we've got a course page for you. You can research your career field. We've got a specialised career toolkit for you, a career planner, examples of jobs you can do whilst you're studying. I'm going to show you some of those, and graduate jobs. We've got a career pack that gives you sample resume, cover letter, selection criteria, tips on interviews, and we've got a resume template, recordings for you, where you can look for work, where you might work, examples of different organisations, volunteering opportunities, virtual work experience, professional associations, LinkedIn tips. You can follow organisations on LinkedIn and following sector news. So you can just explore that in your own time, but it's just there as your sort of package of career tools and kit. Okay, so I just really wanted to walk you through that. So there's that page, and you'll get this PowerPoint as well. But let's just go back right to you. This is about you, this next half hour, to really think about who you are, what's your story, what's got you in the room today, and what are your goals and aspirations. So I think a really useful benchmarking exercise is when you have a look at that circle diagram. And what does it say about you right now? So we're actually dividing you into 4 parts. And around that is those goals, aspirations, strengths, skills, values, career drive. What's the driver that's got you into this course? You know, what are those unique features about you and your story and your life to date that have shaped you towards sitting in this room or coming in online right now? So some of you have done a previous degree, you're in the Masters. Some of you have come into the Bachelor. You might have done other short courses, certificates, and all kinds of different things as part of your learning. There might be other learning that you embrace alongside of your tertiary studies. I'll talk about that Horizon Award. So think about all of those learnings that you have right now. Does anyone have any experience in the nutrition, health sector already? It might be volunteer, it might be paid. Has anyone got any experience? No? Yes? Fantastic. Wonderful. I've been to a few classes there and it's a really great environment. That's fantastic. Wonderful. Because there's a lot of these sorts of opportunities that you can take on whilst you're studying. Who's working casually at the moment? Who's got a casual job? Hands right up. Yeah? Yeah? What are some of the things you're doing? Throw some. Is anyone a barista? Yeah, maybe? Is anyone in retail? Labouring? Sports coaching? Yeah? Okay. It's part of your story. Is anyone changing careers completely? That you've worked, yeah, you've worked in other roles. And that's important too. All of those prior experiences, again, make your unique story and give you skills. Employers love that employment background. Punctuality, reliability, maturity, resilience, working in teams, solving conflict, talking to clients. Really own and value that experience, whatever it is. Again, it's another part of that evolving story. Who are you when you aren't working or studying? What do you do on an extracurricular basis? Does anyone volunteer right now? Yeah? What do you do?
I do volunteer teaching.
Volunteer teaching. Anyone else? Anyone play sport? Yeah? Anyone play music? Anyone into arts? Yeah? Whatever. Anyone into dance? Come on, you guys, you've got to get to know each other. You're going to be a team going forward. You are a network from here. So have those conversations, share those stories. It all presents the story. It's about knowing who you are right now and having some ideas of where you're going to build it from here. Exploring the options, what's out there, what might you do, where might you work? What am I going to need along the way? What skills are employers looking for? How am I going to market myself? So you can see that page on Career Hub gives you a whole pile of places to start with that. So let's take a little look into the future. And this role might not be to anyone, but everyone, but it's just an illustration of looking into that future. So for example, we've got the Peter MacCallum Cancer Centre. They offer a graduate position. So you'll see these graduate positions come up around the countryside. So you can actually start to monitor jobs and start to identify what interests you and what doesn't interest you as much. So they want a motivated new graduate dietitian. They've got values of excellence, compassion and innovation. They want someone who's hardworking, passionate about oncology, excellent interpersonal, organisational and communication skills. That's just one example. So you look at that and you go, right, well, so I'm playing my sport, I'm working in retail, you know, this is where I've got my evidence so far. What else might I build? I'm going to build technical knowledge and skills through my course, but so is everyone in this room, which is fantastic. But then what are the unique things about you? Let's have a look. So it's getting into the mindset of the employer. This is thinking forward, whether it's 2 years or 4 years. And what does it all mean? So, okay, if we see there's an employer who really values excellence, well, maybe you're going to show that because you perform really well academically. You might show that because you've got awards in other areas, or you're fantastic on the practical placement side of things. Maybe it's about having great research skills. So you're going to show that through maybe some of the research projects that you're going to do in the next few years. It might be about having great people skills so you can relate well to clients. That might come from your employment. It might be about a sense of community, teamwork. You might show that through volunteering. You might become a mentor at some point or be mentored. So all of these activities you do, this is why it's so important to look at everything in your life right now. What have you got? Do that audit. What might you want to develop? And then look at that, look at those jobs. I send through a few to Jolene periodically and she'll share those to you. I've sent a batch through the other day. But you start to look at those jobs. What do you like? What do you not like so much? It's all useful information. It can hone your ideas about where you might be headed. Do you want to work in a rural location? Do you want to go remote? Do you want to be in the city? Do you want to be in a private setting? Do you want to be in a public health focus? Do you want to be in a community outreach? Do you want to be working clinically in a hospital? So you start to figure this stuff out. And then you start to map, right, what can I do to be the standout candidate for those roles? It's kind of like working backwards. And here's just a few examples of positions that come up. Mobility might be a question as well. So like, are you open to relocation, and if so, where? Or are you focused on a particular region for where you'll be looking for work? But you can see here, jobs come up in all kinds of locations, from Yakult to country and outback health, ACT, Calvary Health, Barossa, Gen Physio, Food Bank, Bupa had health coach positions. These are all positions on Career Hub, you can look them up. Health consultant, it's not just called dietitian. All of those jobs were looking for graduates in dietetics. Arnott's Group had a graduate program, research and development, as a completely different concept to think about. Is it about health policy, health program management from a federal perspective, or directly in those clinics? So just to cue you in to some of the terminology. And then you can start to go, well, what's the story? Are you that person who wants that health career, perhaps in the rural, remote setting? You know, who knows? Has anyone relocated from country area to study? Anyone? Yeah, exactly. Maybe that's a story going forward, or maybe it's another story. You can tailor that story to different settings. But maybe you decide you're going to hold an office with the Rural Health Society here on campus. You sign up to weekly newsletters in the rural health area. You do a placement in the Northern Territory. You do fundraising for the Royal Flying Doctors Service, and you love exploring remote Australian wilderness. You've suddenly got a brand. You might completely adapt that for a city role, and it's all transferable skills. It's about that agility in relating who you are to who you're talking to. Or maybe you're that person who's really passionate about oncology. You subscribe to news in that sector. Volunteer, and you can actually do this with the Royal Adelaide Hospital, to create wigs, turbans, beanies, scarves and knitted caps for people who've experienced that loss of hair through treatment. And do the Mother's Day Classic Run events to raise funds for breast cancer research. Just an example of things that you might do to shape that story to a particular context. And we've got more examples in the slide notes. Doesn't mean you suddenly have to take up exploring remote wildernesses. And if you do, please do so safely and have all of that risk assessment in place. Looking for casual work. Well, here's some ideas. One of the things you'll be doing, if it's same as previous years, People will do a food services placement, Jolene, won't they? Yeah, exactly. So there's actually entry-level jobs you can do in that area. Food services assistant, diet monitor, menu monitor. So those jobs come up with SA Health, the facility services providers like ISS. There's also dietetic assistant casual pools, and there's one at FMC. FMC is also even looking for casual cafe attendants. Women and Children's Hospital have a cafe attendant. You get to mix with patients, doctors, allied health staff, families, patients, the whole bit. So Jolene, I've just sent you through a whole ton of jobs on Career Hub to share. So you get an understanding of that. Or I've seen jobs come up for cooking coach. You can see some of the other examples. You can set up job alerts on SA Health so that you can jump on those opportunities when they come up. I periodically check this stuff and hit up Jolene with, hey, can you share these jobs? But I'm not doing it every week because there's one of me and I'm looking after 2 colleges. I do what I can. So you can sign up for those job alerts. Calvary, Peter Mac, Alfred Health, they've all have graduate openings for dietetics, Bupa, and food services. It could be doing food services and aged care if you thought you might want to go that way, and that's a very interesting emerging area too. So how do you differentiate yourself with all of that? So we've looked at who you are right now. We've looked at fast forwarding 2 years, 4 years to what might some of the graduate jobs be. We pulled back and we've had a look at what could be some of the casual jobs if you're looking for that job closer to your sector whilst you study. What else can you do? Engage on campus. Start here. Talk to as many people as you can. There's a fabulous page, which I absolutely love, on the Flinders Students page, and it's all those different ways you can get involved here on campus. Joining up club societies, getting involved with Flinders Fitness, become a topic representative. Any chance you can, put your hand up to do that. If there's an academic committee you can get on, do it. You really get to know your teaching staff well. You have that great opportunity to advocate for your peers, and it's all building your story and your skill sets. It's that growth mindset. There's opportunities to be a wellbeing ambassador here on campus. So look local. And there you can see more of those opportunities. There's club societies. There's Nutrition Club, Rural Health Society, Health and Human Rights Group. It might also be just joining up a club that's about your interests. If you're into the outdoors, there's an outdoors club. There's film clubs, all sorts of things. It just shows that energy, engagement, enthusiasm, citizenship really, I guess. Horizon Award, I've mentioned that a few times. It's free to join. It's a student-funded program that we run, very innovative, and it's very flexible. It's points-based. So when you do things outside of your employment and study that build your employability skills, you get points. We've got bronze, silver, gold and platinum levels of that award. We also have a leadership specialisation. As future dietitians, they're looking for people who embrace continuous learning and professional development. And this is a really tangible way you can demonstrate that. We have our award ceremonies as you go through each level of the Horizon Award. They have released their schedule for semester 1. So you can see we run sessions on decision making, communication, teamwork, problem solving, critical thinking, resilience, mindfulness. Really useful skill sets to have. There's online modules as well. You can do virtual internships, you can do volunteering. Most of the things I'm talking about can give you Horizon points. And so you can see our bronze, silver, gold, platinum leadership levels. So really fantastic program to get involved with. On campus, other opportunities. There's the Flinders Market up at the main campus with Oasis. So we've had market casuals come up. The International Student Services have occasionally advertised for arrival team members, casual library roles. There's also Flinders Connect, some of our students work there. So there's even some employment that can happen on campus. There's a student ambassador program, Office of Student Recruitment do that outreach to schools, tours on campus, there's some admin that you can do as well. They're probably going to advertise middle of the year, and I'll let you know when that happens, but you can go check it out in the meantime. So again, brilliant opportunities. Also the community. There's quite a bit you can do. Now, I know you're busy, you're going to be studying, you've got to manage this transition, you've got to manage life, all of that sort of stuff. So some of the stuff I'm talking about is going to be shorter term, some of it might be longer term. But the key is you are in the driver's seat right now to plan it out over your time here at Flinders. So you're probably going to hear a bit about Dietitians Australia. So professional associations, great to get involved if you can afford it. Some are pretty heavily discounted for students. That might be an option down the track. It might be you're following them on their socials to begin with, or signing up to newsletters. But there's a lot of great opportunities that can come up through those associations. So depending on your interest, obviously DA is a big one. If you're really into the health promotion, public health, there are also associations there. So we've got all of that on your page. Following news, there's a lot of free news you can sign up to. Stephanie Alexander Kitchen Garden Foundation News, and they have some interesting jobs from time to time. Maggie Beer Foundation, Heart Foundation, The Conversation. If you want to follow what are people talking about in the health sector, what are the big issues? So developing your profile. Here's a quote from a past graduate. So being passionate about what I wanted to get into, I made a conscious effort to stand out as much as possible. Volunteered, mentored, did as many things as possible related to my area. So don't be overwhelmed, and I hope you're not. Again, it's about that pacing, figuring out what are the priorities for you, what really fires your interest, your energy, what do you want to get into here. So volunteering can be very one-off, event days, to shorter, longer term roles. It could be quite closely related to nutrition, health, dietetics. So you can see we've got links for you there to Cancer Council, Diabetes SA, Red Cross, Meals on Wheels, Oz Harvest Food Bank. So there's a lot of those organisations. It might also be something you do related to your hobbies. So one thing I do is I volunteer as a classical and jazz program presenter on a community radio station in my spare time. So again, it's everything counts as part of your story. You've just got to find what's going to work for you. But all of those involvements can give you networks, build your skills, really build up your resume, and give you a lot to talk about when you introduce yourself. So you can check out Go Volunteer. There's those festivals and events, Tasting Australia, Ausasia Festival, WOME Adelaide. So often you can just subscribe to their news to find out when those openings come through. I've sent one through for Starlight. There's a fundraising event they're having in May, and they're looking for table hosts. Who'd have thought? So just another possibility there. Coast Trek, Heart Foundation, looking for event day. So setting up Love Stop, cheering the trekkers, tidying up the site, replenishing drinks and food, packing down. Just one off if you've got that capacity. What a great thing to do. And I also mentioned there's the Memory Walk and Jog event, and in May there's the Mother's Day Classic. And again, they're looking for volunteers, probably wouldn't mind people on their committee as well. Great experience. Adelaide Farmers Markets, they just ask for one Sunday a month. They've got a market kitchen and kids club, info stand, meet and greet, composting monitors, set up and pull down roustabouts. So it doesn't have to be like huge, is what I'm saying. Food bank, warehouse drivers, food hub volunteers. So there's some opportunities there. Oz Harvest, another one. Anything from, just the sausage sizzle that they do to community events, kitchen and cooking for a cause, corporate classes. Yeah, just throwing out some ideas. Maybe you've thought about these, maybe there's some new ideas. You're going to have course placements, so you want to make the absolute most of that. Meet as many people as you possibly can. get ready with talking about who you are and what you're interested in. We run your marketing pitch workshops as well, networking workshops. So all of our job hacks, resume, cover letter workshops, you also get a point for your Horizon Award. There might be vacation employment, summer research scholarships, the virtual internships, student challenges. So some things to look out for there. Aurora internship program, Indigenous, non-Indigenous graduates. So health, education, research, law, justice, policy, environment, STEM and community services. So I think the winter round's currently open. CSIRO, health and biosecurity. They had an interesting one there. I think it was about something to do with people from Chinese background and diet. So they had an interesting vacation work program there. And parliamentary internships, public health. What are the drivers for your sector? Who sets the policy? Be curious. Virtual internships, anything from 2 to 6 hours, and online. So it could be, again, that health policy, healthy food options in a school canteen, or health leadership. Again, points for Horizon there. LinkedIn, is anyone on LinkedIn? It's right up. Okay, a few of you on LinkedIn. I really encourage you to get onto LinkedIn. You can make your connections amongst yourselves. You can connect with your teaching staff. You can connect with anyone you meet in your professional world. You can connect with graduates, and there are a lot on LinkedIn, trust me, in this area. You can check out where are their career paths, where are they now? So making those connections, following sector news, and also following organisations of interest. Sometimes they'll announce jobs there. So career education, I think we've got that one covered. You can have a chat with us, you can ask questions online. We run those workshops as well. Upcoming events, you can check out the Horizon events, the job hacks, employer events. There's going to be the big meet in late March and a ton of health employers, SA Health coming along as well. So take a broad lens when you go to those events. Career question, you can just put one through. It's confidential and we will get back to you with our best answer on that stuff. So 2023, develop your awareness of the sector, develop your professional skills. You may not know exactly what area you want to go into and you're at the start of that journey, but start to take some activities, start to take some steps towards being that outstanding emerging dietitian. Start to get that professional mindset. You are a student dietitian now. So know your points of difference. Who are you? What do you have to offer? How are you going to build that value over the next few years? And have an absolutely fantastic year. Welcome to campus, by the way. I hope you have a really wonderful, wonderful time. And just keep that end goal in mind and how you're going to get there. We're here to help. So tap into us via Career Hub. Any questions? Yeah?
Can we access these slides?
Absolutely. I have emailed them to Jolene.
I'll put them on the general flow page with my slides as well.
And Jolene, you'll share all of those.
Already up there.
Are already up there. So you have a whole heap of jobs to have a look at. Okay, no, that's it from me. Thank you so much for the chance to come on down. And all the best, everybody.
Thank you. It's actually lovely to have you. We've had to do this online for the last 2 years. We've had online orientation, which is, I mean, it's a stopgap, but it's never as good as having everyone in the room and faces.
No, it's fantastic. Really fantastic.
Thank you so much, Meg, for spending your time. I think that you're moving next door now, aren't you?
I am. So I will. Do I need to log off?
Yeah, I can log you.
All right.
That's fine. Thanks
All
very
right.
much.
So over to next door and look forward to working with you all.
Lovely. Thanks, Meg.
See ya.
I'm just wondering, I know the M&D students have been here for a little while now, so what I was thinking, I might actually just shuffle things around a little bit, is if the M&D students, need a break, want to stretch your legs and go and grab a coffee for, 15 minutes or so. I just went down and it's quiet down there at the moment, so if you want to go and grab a coffee or, some sunshine to warm up, because this room is pretty cold, then feel free to do that, and I'll give the B&Ds a little bit of time to do some mingling while you do that. And then we'll reconvene, shall we say, at about 1:45, so about 15 minutes, dash down. You can bring your coffees back, go get some vitamin D. But if you want to sit and, sit, then that's completely fine as well.
I'm not kicking you out.
But I'm actually not I'm here for the here.
Oh, okay. So if you want to pop next door,
Oh, it's
in the
next
next
door.
room, because that's where Jane is,
Okay.
and she'll tell you what to do.
Okay.
All right. Thank you very much.
Where can I find
I haven't uploaded them yet. Yeah, all good. Hello there. It is, yes. So you bachelor? Yep. Come on in. Oh, I know. It's hard to find. I went to the main. Oh, so you have to come through all the sunshine over you. Grab a seat. Sorry, I'm not sure I should do that. That's fine. Hopefully you're going somewhere nice. So just before you get into it, I just wanted to give you an opportunity. As I said when Meg was here, we haven't been able to run orientation in person for a couple of years, and so everything was online, and you really didn't get a chance to see people's faces or even like learn a couple of names of each other before starting next week. Starting your topics, and some of the topics that you'll study, you're in a room with 100 people, and it's like I don't even know who's the nutrition students versus the physio students, etc. So it's really nice to have everyone here around some tables so that you can familiarise yourself with some faces and names. So what I wanted you to do is, feel free to get up and move around, is just to spend the next 10-15 minutes or so introducing yourselves to the people at your table, maybe thinking about where you've come from. Have you come from school? Have you come from another career and you're looking for a career change? Have you done some study elsewhere? I know some students have done some study at other universities and have come through to the B&D this year, and even thinking of, can you find someone with similar hobbies or similar interests as you, so that you can make some connections before we start hardcore next week. All right, so I'm going to give you 10-15 minutes to do that. I might just be loitering around if anyone's got any burning questions. Otherwise, this is the time for you to kind of familiarise yourself with each other. Feel free to move around so that you're not sitting on your own. Over to you guys. All right. Hello. What was your name? Keo. Nice to meet you. That's right. Exactly. It's been a while. I saw your name on my list and I was like,
I just made it down. I'm sorry, you can still something.
that's right. Persistence pays off, doesn't it? It's good. Well done.
A little bit complicated.
Oh, did you?
Well, and also it was like,
Yeah.
and I was eating more about it, like, I eat
Yeah, I am.
and I was eating enough
Things to do, like keep busy, like I love work, you know, so, it should be good. And I'm like, I don't know anything. I'm not everything. What is that? Yeah, I went to Sam and then like the presentation file for your class and they were talking about peanut allergies and non-celiac gluten intolerance and I'm like, I don't know what peanuts are anymore. Yeah, it'll be fun, I'm sure. Yeah, you want to try everything out.
recently broke my wrist now.
Okay, we might get restarted. It looks like most of the MNDs are back on deck. So I'm just going to slightly deviate from the agenda for the program for today, because we're fortunate enough to have some reps from a couple of clubs that are closely linked with the dietetic programs, and a number of our students join and participate in, or even sort of lead and have leadership roles within those clubs. And then what we'll do is we'll revert back to the program after the speakers have covered what they need to cover today. I guess to put it into some context, because Meg did a lot of talking just now for that last half an hour, and I will make those slides available so you've got the links and the ideas and all of that to refer to. But I guess, you know, the clubs sit within the context of a couple of things. Firstly, kind of getting involved in your profession, in your university with different colleagues, etc. Also as kind of a bit of a support network, because a lot of nutrition and dietetics students are in the clubs, but also other allied health and other students. And it's also, thinking about that career planning and thinking about how can I make myself stand out from the crowd. Joining clubs and even maybe leadership roles within the clubs also, is targeted towards that kind of aspect of your career from next week onwards. So we've got Eva and Sarah from Funk, and we've got Alvin from the Flinders Uni Rural Health Service, FAIRS, that are here to talk to you today about the clubs and to encourage you to come and join those clubs. So thanks, guys. I'll hand over to you.
Cool. So we're going first? Yeah. Okay. Hi, everybody. So my name's Eva, and I'm here to talk to you about the Flinders Uni Nutrition Club, or FUNK. So how do I skip to the next one, sorry?
Oh, yeah,
you can do it. Okay, so what we are is a social club for the nutrition students at Flinders, so you can come and mingle at our social events, make some friends. It's a bit hard in first year, you don't really meet too many other nutrition students straight off the bat, so it's a good way to get to know people right away. We also do a bit of like nutritional awareness posting, so a little bit about general health, this and that, but we also post external events like Nutrition Society Australia and Dietitians Australia events that are coming up, like the Dietitians Walk that's happening in March. We'll be posting about that soon. So it's a good opportunity for you to go along and meet people, network, that sort of thing. So upcoming events this year for our semester, we've got a welcome picnic in week 2 on the Tuesday, 10 till 12 I think it is. And that'll be up in Anchor Court, which is like close to where all your science classes are going to be. So you will figure out the area pretty soon, but we're going to be providing snacks, there'll be games, so you can come along and meet other students, maybe first year, some of us are in third year, and we can talk to you about what to expect, that sort of thing, so come along if you'd like to know more. And then in week 6 we'll be hosting our AGM, which is like a general meeting where we elect new committee members. So if you're thinking you would like to get involved in a club, that's a great opportunity for you to come by and do that. Yeah, and it looks great on your resume, so get started early. But following that, we'll be having a movie. We're going to be watching Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs. So if you want to have like a bit of a de-stress before the mid-semester break, there's that opportunity as well. And then in week 13, we're going to be having our pub crawl, and the theme is Drink the Rainbow. So it's going to be really good, very nutritious. So yeah, pub crawls are a great way to meet other students as well, and it's a very low-key, like relaxed sort of situation. So it's good for making friends. Yeah. What do we got on the next one? If you would like to sign up to become a member of the club, you can scan this, or we have it pinned, the form, we have it pinned to the top of our Facebook page at the moment, so that'll add you to our mailing list. Oh, and then we've got our socials as well that you can scan. So we've got a new Instagram page, which is excellent, and then we've got our old school Facebook. But yeah, scan them up or just look us up. It's pretty easy. It's all on the form I gave you as well. Hopefully there was enough copies. But everything you need to know is on those, so keep them safe, pin them to your fridge, come to the events. Yeah, thanks guys. I'll pass over to Alvin.
Hi guys, I'm Alvin. I'm a part of FIRST, so the Flinders Uni Rural Health Society. So what we're all about is just getting people interested in living and working rurally. You know, if, you know, I'm from the city, a lot of people are from the city, and you know, people don't often think about what it is like to work in a rural place. Really do need people there, and there's a lot of opportunity there. You know, in general, the difference often is the scope of practice that we have as a rural sort of health professional. I'm a physio particularly, so physio student, I should clarify. So yeah, like the difference for me specifically and for you guys as well is that we need to have a lot more expertise in a wider range of conditions in order to service a rural area that might be in some sort of shortage or in really need of these services. It presents a lot of challenges, but also a lot of learning opportunities. The society itself, we run a lot of different events. I think the most fun ones that people go to and are really keen for are the trips. So some of the ones that we've got in the pipeline are, we run 2 rural high school visits every single year, where we go to a rural high school, we talk to students that are interested in health. And it's also just, an all expenses paid trip to, wherever you want to go. So last year it was Mount Gambier. The year before, it was KI, Kangaroo Island. And yeah, this year we're still sort of figuring out a different place. We've got a trip planned to Corn. We also do a Riverland camp every single year. It's 3 days, probably for me, the highlight of the year. It's really, really awesome. We get presentations from like clinical educators from many different fields, and they sort of talk about their rural experience, studying, working, stuff like that, and a bit of practical sort of like play as well. We also have conferences and councils that are run by wider governing bodies of rural health, things like the National Rural Health Students Network and SARA, which is the South Australian Rural Remote Allied Health Network. They sort of pull together lots of industry professionals and students to provide these really valuable networking events where there's a lot of like knowledge and stuff that is just shared across those number of days. So definitely keep an eye out for stuff like that. And not to mention, it's not just all about the outreach stuff. We're also very interested in running social events to just get people acquainted with each other. We span across many different disciplines, as you know. Well, as I just said, I'm a physio. We have medical students, nutrition, dietetics students, obviously, nurses, paramedics, and so on. And so, because we span across this sort of really sort of wide range of disciplines, it's really good to take part of the social events, things like cocktail nights and sort of other stuff that we've got planned as well. And just presentations as well that we have from different sort of disciplines. I think a lot of the value comes from the fact that you get exposure into what it's like to work in a sort of interdisciplinary team, which is quite becoming commonplace nowadays. So there's a lot to learn by joining us. So yeah, keep an eye out on our socials. We've got a pretty active Facebook, and we've just sort of like gotten our foot on the pedal when it comes to Instagram. So yeah, keep an eye out on that as well. But yeah, that was it from me.
And the cost of the clubs?
Oh, totally free.
Yeah.
Free snacks
Absolutely.
all year.
Yeah. It's free, plus, the trips are all paid for, so...
The trips are really fun in Furs. I went on the Riverland camp and it was actually the best time. There was like kayaking and we went to breweries and stuff, like day trips. It was actually really fun. And then we did educational stuff like plastering. Yeah. So it was pretty good. It's definitely worth looking into. It is competitive though, isn't it? Well, is it?
To get into the
society?
society?
Yeah, you got to apply to get on the camp, but it's really worth it.
Yeah.
Make it count, yeah.
Yeah. No, definitely do it. I love it. That's why I'm here giving you this presentation. And, we run plenty of camps and trips, so, you'll definitely get the chance to go on at least one. So, yeah, get into that. Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
Great, thanks very much for that. Can I go on camp?
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, everybody come in. The camp is so good. I cannot stress that enough. And they feed you.
And the drinking. The camp and drinking a rainbow sounds good to me. Yeah.
Oh, drink the rainbow is so good.
And I guess just to clarify, the clubs are for both masters and bachelor students. You can, all of you are eligible to join. And I'm guessing with the pub crawls, you don't have to be a drinker to attend. So feel free to, take the opportunities to make some friends. Okay. All right, so I just had a quick count. I think there's about 50 students in the room today, which is great to see. It's a nice big number and nice to see everyone's faces. So what we're going to do is spend some time just going through some general kind of information and orientation that's applicable to everybody, and then a little bit later we're going to separate out into the MNDs and the B&Ds so that the B&Ds can go and join their mentoring groups as well. So I obviously am going to stand here and do some talking. Jane's going to stand here and do some talking, but please feel free to ask questions at any point. I will call out to see if there's any questions, but often we find that that one of the things that students we all struggle with is to actually ask questions in a large group, and today might not be the day that you want to give that a go, but definitely through the course you'll find that there's a lot of opportunities and a lot of encouragement to speak out, to be brave and ask the questions in a large group. So what I might do is just talk about the university and navigating the university in general. I've already asked the M&Ds, but in the B&Ds, how many of you are completely new to Flinders? So quite a bunch of you, and the rest of you might have been to university before or joining Flinders today. So hopefully this information, if you already know it, then it doesn't hurt to be refreshed, but if you're new, then some of this information will be really useful if you haven't already covered off on some of this information. So it's really important that, if you haven't already, is to spend the next few days before we start classes. And things usually start, and when they start, you feel sometimes like you've got on the roller coaster and it's going to take off, and that's time to you need to all the preparation and admin to have been done before. So if you haven't already worked out, the Wi-Fi, so joining EduRoam, and that, to do that you need your username and your password, which is just your general Flinders information, Flinders details. And there is some, if you need some support with that, then there is a web link there on the slide. But if you haven't already done it, get onto that quickly, because you'll be, relying on that Wi-Fi as you go from next week onwards. Student ID cards, similarly, you all need to organise a student ID card if you haven't already, and that's all now done online. You can use your own photos in order to do that. You don't need to go and line up like the old days to get your photo taken for your student ID card. So again, if you haven't got onto that, then please do so, as you'll need that ID card moving forward. MND students, you will need a placement kind of ID card that you'll hear about if you haven't already heard from the placement team. Marion will run through that with you next week. But definitely get onto your student ID card, because that's relatively easy and straightforward. There is kind of a new students section on the web of Compass that talks about how to enrol and register in classes.
Having a look in the system, the majority of you are fully enrolled, which is good to see you've already got onto that. If you've got some questions about your enrolment, then please sing out. You shouldn't have any more than 4 topics in a semester. I know that some may had 5, so I think that might have been a bit of an error in enrolling, but just please go back to your enrolment and make sure that you haven't got any more than 4 topics per semester. I don't know what that beeping is all the time. If you do need help with that, then feel free to contact me if you've got questions about topics. If it's more sort of like systems based and how to tick boxes, that kind of thing, and how to select classes, then you can put a support request through Ask Flinders, and they're relatively quick at getting back to you to help you navigate the system. I did have a question on one of the tables at the top a little bit earlier. At the moment, we're in sort of this state of transition when it comes to our online learning systems, learning management systems. So our usual one up until this year is called Flow, so Flinders Learning Online. That's supported by certain, things in the background that I don't quite understand. I'm not an IT person, but at the moment we're in the state of transitioning over to a new learning management system. So we're in that kind of position where some topics will be on the old one and some topics will be on the new one. All right, probably more relevant for the Year 1 B&Ds in this stage, because that's kind of the topics that have started transitioning over. But as of semester 2, the majority of topics will be on the new version. So if you're unsure of what system your topic is in, then there is a web link on the slide where you can go and it lists the topics that have already kind of transitioned over to Canvas. And so you're still using Okta, if you're familiar with that, to navigate to Canvas, and anything that's not on that list will be taught in Flow. How many have already been onto Flow and looked at the Flow pages? Excellent. All right, if you haven't, then over the weekend, over the next few days, make sure that you get onto Flow and start having a look around at Flow. Go onto Canvas for those of you that have topics that are on Canvas, just to familiarise yourself with where to find things on those systems. All right. And there are intro sessions and things as part of orientation for you to get some assistance and some guidance on what those kind of systems are all about. Transport, parking at Flinders can be a challenge. Over the last couple of years, we have kind of lost a couple of car parks to building works and things like that. So parking does become a little bit more tight. Generally, if parking in car park 1 for those of you that go to health sciences and the science classes is probably your best bet. If you're here by about 9:30, then parking should be okay. After that, then you're probably going to be the far-flung ends of the university to find your parking, all right? So just, I guess, in the first couple of weeks, keep that in mind in terms of time, planning your time. It does change as the semester wears on and students choose, to not attend or not, withdraw from classes and things. So the need for parking does get a little bit easier, but it is, not the easiest. You do need a parking permit. Okay, so just make sure that you apply for a parking permit if you're planning on driving and parking regularly. If it's, you mainly catch the bus, but you're going to park now and then, make sure you have the Cello Park app on your phone and get in all the relevant details, because they do, give fines out quite readily. All right, so if you think, oh, I'm just going to nip in, I'm only in for an hour, I would say it's 80% chance that you'll get a fine even within that hour. All right, so the inspectors are circling. It's $50 at least now for the fine. That's a very expensive trip to university for that day. All right, so keep that in mind. Now we do have the railway station at Flinders, so if you've got, if you're on the train line, then that's an easy way to get here, and a nice, quick, easy, there's a bus that can meet you at the train station to take you up to the main campus and so on. So that's a handy way, and there's also the Loop bus here at Flinders as well. So that's the free service. You've probably seen them driving around, like the little white buses that link, Sturt to the main campus and Tonsley, so you can go and do a loop of all 3. If you need to go either of those campuses. We tend not to do any classes at Tonsley. Okay, so you probably won't be required to go to Tonsley that I'm aware of. Things do change over the years, but you'll mainly find Sturt and main campus and Flinders Medical Centre as being the key kind of areas that you'll need to go to. Some of you may be thinking, like in terms of finances, university can be expensive, particularly if you're juggling other life commitments. Some of you may have a mortgage, family, and so on, rent. There are scholarships available, and it's if you're in that position, you might want to think about having a look at the website to see what's available and what you're eligible for. You don't have to be like a top performing student. There's a range of things available, but it's just a matter of having a look at what what if any you're eligible for. So I just wanted to make you aware of that page if you haven't already looked at it. Safety. We do need to think about safety moving around campus. Classes can run anywhere from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. We know that in winter, 6 p.m. it's dark, so we do need to think about safety in terms of sort of our physical safety moving around the campus. But it's also, things like if you witness or experience any unacceptable behaviour, harassment, you can report those things. We're a university that, don't support and don't stand for harassment and unacceptable behaviour. So those kind of things are dealt with appropriately if they're reported. You can, and that does not mean that making a report doesn't necessarily mean a complaint, but it is the first step, and people will follow up with you. All right. Safety on campus, you can have a look on the website for information about that. Things like, that even comes down to practicalities, like if you're at a class up at, science and your car is parked over at Flinders Medical Centre near the train station, you can get a security guard to, escort you or drive you, if it's after hours and it's dark. So some of those kind of practicalities. You don't have to worry about it at the moment, but it is there in the back of your mind. Other services to make you aware of here at Flinders is the health and counselling services, and disability service. So that's up on main campus. There are online and telehealth availabilities as well. But as Flinders students, you can make appointments to see doctors, like GPs or nurses here on campus. You can also, book or do a drop-in to chat with a counsellor, because there's counselling services up at main campus as well. And also if you have sort of a health or mental health condition, underlying condition, or something that crops up over studies, you can make an appointment to speak with a disability advisor about getting some, like an access plan, for example, that makes you eligible for additional supports or considerations. So the service, it's a fabulous service. It does get busy, particularly around pockets of time, like exam time, end of year, those kind of things. But it is there and a really valuable service if you're, if you need to link in. It's open weekdays, and there are some email links there for you if you want to make an appointment or contact them. Importantly, there's also after-hours crisis support. Hopefully no one needs it, but we don't know we never know what's around the corner or what's happening. So there is that sort of after-hours crisis phone and SMS links there as well. So I tend to say to students, put them in your phone. You may well never need them, and hopefully you don't, but if you've got them there, you don't have to search for them if it's something that you or a friend or a colleague needs, you've got it quick to hand. All right. And I will put these slides up on Flow so that you can refer to them a little bit later. Other services you may be familiar with or have heard of is Oasis, which is like a student wellbeing centre. They offer a number of services and supports in a variety of kind of areas. So there's like conversation groups, there's volunteer programs, there's chaplaincy and other like religious groups that work out of Oasis, yoga, walking, and so on. So, there's a wide range, and Jane, you probably know a bit more about Oasis than what I do, that you might can speak a little bit later about it, but it's a very valuable thing that you can link into that's outside of your studies, and they have a website and a social and Facebook page that you can have a look at. but Jane can talk a little bit more about that a little bit later. There's lots of services, as you can see. So Flinders University promotes awareness and respect of diversity, so that's of staff and of our students. And so there is a range of services available that are sort of, geared towards supporting diversity. So, there are prayer rooms, there's conversation groups, there's equal opportunity advisors, Pride Network and Good Vibes experiment. So they're things that are available to you that I would suggest looking at the website at the bottom to find out whether any of those things are applicable to you or of interest to you that you can tap into either early on or down the track during your studies. Any questions so far? I feel like I'm throwing a lot of information at you.
What about the cost of the counselling services?
Cost, that's free. Yeah, so it's a free health service. So thanks, Jane. That makes a big difference, particularly now that there's less and less bulk billing GP services outside the university. So something to keep in mind. And the counsellors are very, very good. A number of our students have used the counselling service over the years and have found it really, really useful. Whether it's something that people visit and early on in preparation for like placements and things like that, or it can be like at a point where you feel that you need that support. So don't be shy to reach out to them if need be. And they're very kind of they're used to our students and have experience with our students. So. And just to note some of the Facebook pages that you may well have all. Who uses? Does everyone use Facebook? I've heard it's only like people in my generation now that use Facebook, which is really sad to me because I spend a fair bit of time on Facebook. So obviously I'm out of touch. I'm sure they've got Instagram pages as well and whatever else. The more up-to-date new social media platforms there are. But all of the services here at Flinders and Flinders in general has Facebook and Instagram pages. So it's useful to connect with those on your own social media. You'll then see any sort of new things that are upcoming, any specials in terms of costs of things, any support services. The gym here at Flinders, if you're interested in the gym, is very well priced. Runs a lot, range of classes, or you can just go and use the gym. It's open, extended hours. So if you're looking for, a cheaper gym than what you might be paying at the moment, then it's well worth looking into that as well. Plus, it's got a really nice view out over the ocean, which always helps when you have to run on a treadmill. So I guess that's, a very kind of overview of the services available here at Flinders. And I think with services, sometimes, some of us like to know about it all up front, and then we can drag it from the back of our minds if needed. Some might just think, well, I'm going to park that and reach out and look at these things, if at any time I feel like I need or want those services. So it's important to at least put those phone numbers in your phone, just in case. So in terms of where we are located, in terms of nutrition and dietetics, last year we moved from Flinders Medical Centre over to Sturt campus, so we're now located here at Sturt. We're on level 3 in the north building, so basically over in the wing in the north on level 3. We can be contacted by email, and we have a 48-hour, 2 to 3 business days turnaround for emails. And that's how you can then make a time to meet with us if it's something that's not able to be dealt with over email. All right. We all have an email address, and in each of your topics, the topic coordinator will make you aware of what their email address is for contact. We do meetings face-to-face. We can do meetings over Teams, over Zoom, or phone calls. Okay, so we're pretty flexible in that situation. So you can see that here at Sturt, it is a little way over to main campus. Some of you in first year B&D will have like a class over here at Sturt and then need to get over to main campus for science classes or vice versa, and they're back to back. I know someone emailed me about their timetable recently. Just to let you know, if you're not already familiar, that all classes at Flinders should end at 10 to the hour. So even if it says 9 till 11, it should finish at 10:50 to give you 10 minutes to move between classes. All right. Now from here to from Sturt to main campus or health sciences, you can do that in 10 minutes if you walk pretty quickly. Probably not on a 41-degree day, but keep in mind that like some students might leave their last class a little bit early or arrive a little bit late at the second class, and so if that's something that you need to do, obviously try to be as little disruption as possible. But also keep in mind that all lectures here at Flinders are recorded. Okay, so if you find that you are struggling to get from back-to-back classes, if it's a lecture, it will be recorded that you can either refer to later, or sometimes students will find that if you're over here, you might find a quiet space and watch the lecture online, like live streamed. All right. So there is some potentials of flexibility in that way. Tutorials and workshops generally aren't recorded. Some might be, but it depends on the topic and the style of those classes. So it's important that you find out from the relevant topic coordinators whether those whether they're compulsory attendance and whether they're recorded or not, if you need that flexibility. Yeah.
I was about the lectures because I was confused about that when trying to work out the timetable. Are they all pre-recorded, or do they still operate live and then they're basically presented?
Yeah, so it'll vary topic to topic. So some topics have a pre-recorded lecture that is released at a certain time. Okay. Others will be online lectures that are scheduled, so you join in at the time, and some are in person, but they happen to be recorded and you can refer to those recordings later on. So yeah, really depends on the topic. More and more lectures are now online, whether it's pre-recorded or live, but more lectures are online now.
Is there a way to determine that, or just trying to work out your timetable?
If there isn't a venue, then it probably means that it's online. But again, when you go to your topic intro, look on the flow site for the topic or Canvas site, whichever one it is, there should be that level of information. If you find that you can't find it, just email the topic coordinator. So in terms of nutrition and dietetics staff, so the screen that you can see in front of you, these are our sort of continuing staff or longer term contract staff. You'll see that the 4 of us along the top are the ones with sort of leadership roles. So we've got Marion, who's the placement coordinator, who also teaches sort of public health community topics, amongst others. We've got Amanda Ray, who's our academic lead and is the clinical placement coordinator. You've got myself, and then you've got Jane, who's the student experience coordinator. And Jane, I'll let you introduce yourself a little bit more when you come up. All the other staff teach into the programs, various year levels. Some you won't see until like year 2 or year 3 of the B&D. M&Ds you'll probably come into contact with most people on the screen fairly soon. But yes, we're all here, varying fractions. And I guess just to make you aware, teaching staff, they're all teaching staff. But some of us have other sort of facets as well. So everyone teaches, everyone has sort of research or kind of information that we do around teaching. But then there's some of us that are teaching and research positions. So we have sort of a teaching hat, a research hat, and then some of us also have like a course coordinator or other student experience coordinator hat as well. So I guess I say that to make sure that everyone's aware that we do have different roles and responsibilities here. My role as the course coordinator is to make sure that the programs are of a good quality, of a high quality, that they run appropriately, that all of a sudden a topic doesn't disappear, for example, and that you all have a good experience and that your learning is of a high quality as well. And that at the end, you will graduate from an accredited program so that you can be an accredited practicing dietitian. All right. But the rest of us have different roles and responsibilities as well. But we're all open and welcoming contact from our students. Your classes will be across the 3 areas that you can see there. So for the B&D Year 1s, you'll have science classes up in the biological sciences kind of area, so the South Ridge up near the lake. You'll have some in health sciences and some over here at Sturt. So you'll be quite spread out over the Bedford Park campus. M&D students generally will be Sturt campus and health sciences majority-wise. I don't think that there's any can't think of any reason why you would be up the top as the master's students. All right. So if you haven't already had a wander around, make sure that, maybe not today in 41, but have a wander around the university. Find the walking track that goes from Sturt to main campus if you haven't already found it. It's a nice walk through the forest and over the bridge, but making sure that you know how to get around. There is an app that you can put on your phone that can help you with directions, but also you might want to think about booking into a tour over the next week or two, so that you can find your way around. And most places, you get to a building, and then even within the building, it can be quite challenging to find the space, which I think some today found this room difficult to find. So lots of preparation. Any questions, comments? No, fairly happy? Yeah, Michelle.
So I've noticed that we've been receiving schedule changes.
Right.
Will those be automatically updated on our
Student
timetable?
Yeah, they will be. Yeah, so the majority are. If it's us changing a class that's like an internal thing within a topic, we will make you aware via flow or email that a change has happened. But the 99% of changes will automatically update. All right. In terms of communication from us, I keep referring to the nutrition flow site or dietetic flow site. We do have a course page, so this is for the MND, the BND, and the Human Nutrition Program. This is kind of our one-stop shop in terms of information that we release to you, or that you can refer to over the course of your degree. We use this to make sort of general course announcements. So Meg was referring to like job opportunities and things. This is where I will put all of those kind of announcements around jobs. If there's anything that's general in terms of specific dates, general assessment, that kind of thing, all will go on this flow site. So I recommend that you check this flow site at least every other day. I'll make sure that you've got your email alerts set up so that if a post is put up, you get an email to say that I've put a post on Flow, or Jane's put a post on Flow. All right, and check those things. We operate under the assumption that anything that we put on Flow, whether it's the general info page or a topic page, that you have seen it and you are aware of that information. Okay, so now that you're at university and sort of adult learning, we envisage that you're taking responsibility for checking the various communication channels. And so if we change a room and we've put it on Flow, we assume that you've all seen that. All right. So just set up the email alerts for all your topics as well.
Can I just add something?
Yeah.
I've also added an extra link there for you to add your ID photos. Some of you I've spoken to already to do that. So what we would love is for you to upload, it could be ID photo or any photo, it's just so that we as staff can have, we could put faces to names, and that's what we're going to use it for. You will have your own, you might be able to upload it to your own profile, but we can't necessarily see that. So next time you're on Flow, if you could upload your photo, that would be really useful for us.
Yeah, thank you, Jane. What we will do with those photos, as Jane said, is we kind of print them off and have them on a sheet so that we can refer to them. So when I come to a class, I take it with me, and then I can pick people, I can recognise people from that. We also put them on our pin boards in our office so that we can learn who's who. So they're really, valuable for us to have. Yeah. Well, now there's 199 dietetic students at last count, so it takes us a little while to remember everyone's names. So other things that you'll find on that Flow page, apart from things that we put up there, are links to student resources. So if you scroll down, there's a study support block where you'll find links to at the central libraries, student learning guides, and Studiosity. So I suggest that you have a look at those in the coming days, so you know what's there and what kind of supports and links there are in order to help you with your studies. We also have the Nutrition and Dietetics website, which you probably have all seen at some point because you would have looked at it when thinking about applying for Flinders. But that's where you'll find information about the courses, and particularly handbook, which is the kind of the go-to if you're looking for things like study plans, topic information, basic assessment details. There's one for the B&Ds and one for the M&Ds. And so, for example, if you're looking for electives and you email me, I'll usually refer you back to the handbook because that's where they're all listed for you, all right, amongst other information. Textbooks, generally readings and resources that are required or recommended, you'll hear about those within your individual topics. So, if there's a particular chemistry book that you need, it'll be listed either in e-readings or on the flow page. The libraries hold physical and online copies of all of our recommended and required readings. And you may find that sort of readings like a journal article, for example, will be listed in individual topics under e-readings as well. And so again, individual topic coordinators will let you know if there's anything that's recommended or required and where you can access that. And the link there is kind of an online store where you can buy the relevant textbooks and resources at a slightly reduced cost. But check with the TCs before you make any purchases. Textbooks and things are expensive. It's very seldom can you get one for less than $100 these days. So don't rush out and buy before checking. As you move through into sort of like year 3 B&D, year 1 M&Ds, there are kind of resources like the clinical handbook and things that we recommend. We can't make you purchase things, obviously, that we recommend that you purchase. And those kind of things, while they're expensive at around $90, $100, they're resources that you will use on an ongoing basis. So unlike chemistry, you use the textbook for one topic and then you don't need it anymore. I keep on picking on chemistry, it's not purposeful. But things like your handbook, any sort of dietetic books and textbooks, that's kind of like your, I guess, career library. So, you can start building those resources and retain them because you'll use them ongoing into your placements and into your career. But all of them are available in the libraries as well. Any questions on any of that? It's a lot of information. No? All right, so I guess what I was going to move on to next was that Meg gave a lot of information around different jobs, different things to think about moving forward from today. Because, as she said, you've joined a profession. Okay, so and how to think about planning out the next 4 or 2 years, and also what kind of career aspirations you might have. And one of the things I always say to students is when you come to the end of your degree, you've all graduated with you're all graduating with an accredited program. You've all done the same core topics. Yes, in the masters, you've probably got slight variations in terms of electives. And you will have all done slight variations in your placement experiences, but you tend to, you're all on level playing ground when you come out at the end, okay? It's very rare that, when you're going for a job, that the people doing the employing will look at your grades. So, they don't say, oh, well, we'll employ that one because they got a high distinction over the one that got a credit, okay? That is very, very, very rare, all right? If at all, all right? Really what, employers are looking for down the track are, yes, you've graduated with that relevant qualification, but what else do you bring? What else have you been doing? How do you stand out from the crowd, all right, or the others? And one of the aspects that you can look at is, how do I get involved in my profession? How do I build my networks from early on, okay? And so, as Meg mentioned, our sort of key professional body is Dietitians Australia, and this is just a screenshot of their website. You would have all heard of them, heard of the association. Some of you may well have looked through the website to kind of have a better understanding of what dietetics is all about and the different opportunities and things. And there's a lot of information on the website that you can search through. But they are sort of our leading voice. They do advocate for dietitians and nutritionists and dietitians in Australia, and sort of champion the profession as a whole. They help build healthier communities, and they're kind of our chief network, I guess, in terms of professional development, meeting and linking with different dietitians around the country. and also looking at, fostering research and other sort of aspects of our career. One of the great things is that to be a student, remember, it's free. Okay, so I always say if something's free, grab it, because we don't get much for free these days. And it means then that you have access to a range of different resources that we don't give you as part of the degree, but that you can access as part of your membership. So there's a emerging dietitians toolbox that has webinars, job application tips, all of those kind of things, journal clubs, access to journals. There's positions vacant, so you can look at what jobs there are around when the time comes. And also sort of like special interest groups and online discussions that you can dip in and dip out and be as engaged as you want to in terms of that. But one of the good things is when you join as a member, obviously you get lots of emails, and I know that's a good and a bad thing, but sometimes it's useful because they'll send you like a newsletter, and you might scan that newsletter and you might pick out just some key sort of emerging research or emerging themes that you might not delve into too much at that point in time, but you've heard about it, and it's kind of a prompt that, oh, I'm interested in that, I might look at that, look up that when I've got a little bit more time. So it's almost like that professional, like a bit of a passive professional development opportunity where you can be flagged different things. And so all you need to enroll to join as a student is a copy of your student enrolment and fill in the relevant details.
Can I just add something?
Yeah.
I'm on the
Oh, that's right.
DA local branch committee, and just to let you know that there is a dietitians walk, which is a good chance for your students to actually meet your potential future employers. So I'll be posting something in the next few days about dietitians walk in March, so look out for that.
And is that only for members, or can they join?
That's for, yeah, good question. It's aimed at members, but if you are a dietetics student, you can come to the walk, and it's free. You get a coffee.
So there's those kind of social kind of outings and social events that you can join and meet other students and also meet dietitians of varying levels in their career. The other thing is that there's organised events. So Dimity, who's also on the committee, the South Australian committee, said for me to flag to all of you that there will be like a student meet and greet, student networking event coming up very soon. That she'll forward the information to me, and I'll put it on Flow. But also, if you're a student member, you'll get that information through the DA pipelines as well. So it's an opportunity, and sometimes it's a one-off opportunity. You can dip in, dip out, or you can choose to be like on the committee yourselves and have that kind of link and have that to add to your resume as well, because they do call for student committee members periodically. Another society or association you might want to think about as well is the Nutrition Society. Nutrition Society membership is broader than Dietitians Australia, so there are dietitians and nutritionists, but there's also food scientists, medical professionals, nurses, and a range of different professions who have an interest in nutrition and in nutrition science. So they have an annual conference, as does Dietitians Australia, that sort of moves around the country year by year. But it's a real broad, and Jane, again, you're more familiar, you've probably attended more NSA events than I have, but that's a much broader field and an opportunity to make networks in different facets of nutrition.
And it's a fantastic way to keep up to date in the latest nutrition research, because it's moving so fast, and NSA really do that well and communicate that really well.
So in terms of, and they do post regularly in terms of local and online events. So they run a number of online events, which might be useful for you guys. Student membership, there is a cost involved. And unbeknownst to me until I looked the other day, it is different between undergrad and postgrad. I'm not sure why that might be, but just to be aware that there is a difference. But you can have a look on the website in the membership section to have a look at how to register for that. Similarly, it's probably a copy of your enrolment to be able to get a student membership. But a great organisation to be involved in. And some of you may be interested in sports nutrition, sports dietetics. We usually have a significant number of students that are interested in that sphere. There is Sports Dietitians Australia that has a student membership option as well. There is a cost involved. But that does, allow you access to different information and resources, different events, webinars and things that might come up that are of interest to you as well. So you can dip into that.
And a conference at the Gold Coast this year.
Oh, that'd be nice. When's that? So you can go to Gold Coast for SDA. It's Melbourne for Dietitians Australia this year, and I'm not sure where NSA is this year. They're in Perth. Oh, they're in Perth last year, weren't they? Yeah. Okay, so that's kind of getting you thinking about those different organisations and what you might or might not want to be linked into. But I guess the other aspect of coming to university and spending the next 2 years at least of your lives with us here is the other opportunities in terms of engagement and experience, but also the support services that the university and we as a teaching section provide. And so what I'm going to do is hand over to Jane Barber, who's not only teaching specialist in our discipline, but also the student experience coordinator. So you'll hear and see Jane quite a bit over the course of your degree. So thank you, Jane.
Hi everyone, and welcome to your first day at uni. This is very exciting. Now, from our experience, you as dietetic students are very motivated, very good at study skills, but what we find is some of you may not be actually looking at your other aspects of your life. So what we want as you come to university is for you to have that work-life study balance. So also thinking about looking after yourselves as well. So as nutrition and dietetic students, many of you are involved in sport and do physical activity and eat well, but there's other things that might be stressors in your life. So it's good just to think about aspects of your life and to continue to have healthy relationships, to have sufficient sleep, and think about outside work. How many of you are working part-time? Yeah, there's a few of you, yep. And some of you do that because it's relevant to your degree and you can get that employment, even if you're working in retail or in hospitality, there's still skills that you can develop. What we find is that as you progress through your degree, we often find you get more and more pressure from your employers to do extra shifts as they get to know you and you become valued employees, and they want you to do more work and you become more pressured. So if you think about your third year, last year I did a session about going into third year, and is thinking about your work commitments in third year, because the work really does become much more, not necessarily challenging, but it is challenging on your time. And then when you go into your placement years, you're working full-time in placement. So second year masters, you're working like a full-time job. So think about your employment and maybe not necessarily ramping it up, but ramping it down as you progress through your degree, just to get that work-life and stress balance. And then there's other things you can think about. What are the ways that you do to relax and de-stress, and think about be a bit proactive in some of those strategies that you might have, whether that's actually yoga or going for a run or spending time with friends and family and doing enjoyable activities. It's not just about study, it's about being involved in some of the other activities at uni as well. So just thinking about getting organised as a quick tick box. Have you done these things? If you can get organised now, rather than leaving it till later, is going to make your life much easier. So getting your ID card, enrolling in your topics, looking at workshops that are available, like how to navigate the library, doing that workshop, looking at your topic timetable, looking when assessment due dates are. How many of you have actually got a record of when all your assessments are due for this semester? A couple of you have done that already. That's fantastic. If you can do that, have that in your diaries, that makes life so much easier. and then you're thinking about other commitments outside of your study, and you're realising you've actually got 3 assessments due at the same time, and not planning to go on, your family's going on an overseas holiday, and you decide you're going to take 2 weeks off at that particular time. It's not going to be feasible. Checking out parking and signing up to Wi-Fi, some of those things. Jolene's also, she's mentioned about student health and counselling, and there's also support for students who are having financial difficulties. I was involved in a research project on campus, and we surveyed 700 students across the campus, and we found about 40% of those students were actually food insecure. So there are students that are suffering financially and don't have enough food to at various times of the year. So there are support services, financial support services as well, as well as the Flinders Uni Students Association can provide support for students who are struggling. Now, part of my role as Student Experience Coordinator is it's partly a pastoring role. So if you are struggling either with your studies or outside of university with other aspects of your life, you can actually contact me. And in fact, the way that people usually I hear about students is, for example, if you're doing a chemistry topic and there's students who are not putting their assignments in, I often get an email from that topic coordinator saying this person is behind in their studies, would you then follow them up? And it's usually, that's how we find out that you're not coping, that those assignments are not going in. If before you get to that point, you can contact me to talk through some strategies to how you can cope and manage with that. If you need some support in how to just redesign your course, you've actually overloaded, then that's something you can discuss with Jolene as well. But I'm certainly there in that pastoral care role, so please make use of that. So these are some of the other resources that are available on the Flow website. And it might be practical things about being your own counsellor or building new study habits, doing your own yoga. So lots of useful things there. Apart from that pastoral care role, the other thing I'm involved with is the extracurricular activities. So you can be involved in nutrition right from week 1 or week 2. Those of you who are doing the BND, you'll be doing science topics, and it won't be until second semester we actually do some nutrition topics, and I will be, I'm actually taking one of those, nutrition, physical activity and health, which is online. Just regard to one of your questions about lectures, those lectures for that topic are live, so I do that lecture online live, and then there's an opportunity to ask questions. So that's the advantage of being present at lectures live. You can actually interact with the lecturer or with other students, or you can listen to the recorded lectures. So the other activities, we've already heard from the clubs and societies. There's not only the Nutrition Club, there's and the Flinders University Rural Health Club, but there might be sports clubs or other international student clubs that you want to be involved in. Jolene also mentioned Oasis, and one of the things that they offer there is a Flinders community market. So there are food companies that will donate their food, and then Thursdays at 12 till 2 o'clock you can go along to the market and buy cheap grocery items and cheap fruits and vegetables. And in fact, in some of those we have students, nutrition students actually provide cooking demonstrations there as well. That's an option that you can be involved with. So you can go there to purchase very cheap produce. It's particularly useful if you're living on campus. It's really handy. One of the things that I'm involved with Jolene is we get together twice a year with some of the other academic staff, and we discuss the course and we get feedback from you as students. So we need at least one course coordinator rep from each year, so that's first year MND and first year BND, to provide your feedback, and we do listen to that feedback. So you survey your peers and you come back and you say, well, this chemistry topic, a lot of students are struggling with this because of this, or there's been clashes, or we haven't found it relevant to nutrition. So from that feedback we've got from past students, we've actually asked the chemistry or the other science topics, could they make some of their assignments a little bit more related to nutrition, or have that as an option. Or if it's our own nutrition topics that you find you're struggling with, these students are not understanding things, we get that feedback, we listen to it, and we try and make changes. Also, it's a great opportunity, as Jolene was talking about, of having something additional on your CV. Do you want to come in, guys? Does someone want to open the door and let them in? There are peer mentors. Yeah, I just wanted them to. So these are our peer mentors that you'll be meeting shortly, and I'll be talking about the mentoring program. But before I do that, we've got Stu, and we've got Sarah, and Andrea and Nat. So you can actually see a couple of them here. There's a photo of them. So that was them last year. Involved in at the Repat Hospital, providing some nutrition education activities. So what STU is it's Students Eat Well, and what it means is for you as nutrition and dietetics students, you will be able to practice some of your nutrition skills on unsuspecting other Flinders University students or the general public, as we saw at the Repat Hospital. So it's an opportunity for you as to increase your connections with each other, which is challenging in your first year because you're in large cohorts doing sciences, but most importantly to increase your competency in practicing providing nutrition education. And if you can start that from next week when I start the training, that's going to be of benefit to you. So the opportunities are, we have open days where we have high school students that come in. Last year we had some Indigenous high school students that come in to look at would they want to study health sciences at Flinders University, and we have different allied health areas, and for that the nutrition and dietetics students will be providing nutrition activities for them to engage in. I do training for that, so as part of the training I'm going to start training from next week. We look at food handling, food hygiene, how to provide a presentation. We look at recipe modification. We look at how to provide a cooking demo. Now, if you think about a cooking show where they're actually demonstrating how to chop and cook things, they're actually talking at the same time. Now, have you ever actually tried doing that? It's actually quite difficult. If you've actually had a group of people come around for dinner and they come an hour early and you're still chopping and you're trying to chat to them at the same time, that's actually quite a hard skill. So that's something we get you to practice. And while you're doing that chopping and talking, it's an opportunity to answer questions or provide some nutrition education. Now, Sarah, you've done that. Do you want to provide any feedback on how that went for you?
Yes, that was a lot of fun. I did that with someone as well, and the two of us we would ask each other questions and talk about different, nutrition content of some of the foods as well as general food handling techniques. And it was really great. The students were very interested in what we were doing, and yeah, it was just a good experience to practice those skills.
So I'm looking for volunteers. So if you are interested in being involved with Stu and practicing and honing your nutrition skills right from this first semester, you can let me know after this session or send me an email on, that's my email there. The other thing I'm involved in is peer mentoring, and we have 2 peer mentoring programs. One of them is which is relevant for the MND students. It's the second year MND students and who are on placement, and they provide mentoring for first year MND students, and also we have our third years, and we've got 4 of them here today. They will provide mentoring to you as first years. Now these guys have been through what you're about to embark on, so they can answer a lot of those questions about textbooks, about getting to class, about assignments, study tips, a whole range of things. If I talk to you about work-life balance, if you're hearing it from another student, from a mentor, often it's more powerful. So all of you will be allocated a mentor. There's 4 of them here, and we've got one other person, Crystal, who wasn't able to come today. And it's an opt-in, so you don't have to participate. I've actually organised the groups to be geographically, so you can get together as mentor groups or even develop study groups in north, south, east, beachside, hills, city, and you can meet outside socially, or you can just chat with your mentors, ask them questions, and they will touch base with you throughout the semester just to check how you're going. For the master students, using your mentors to help practice you with your oral vivas and some of those practical exams and some study skills for exams is going to be really useful. So I would definitely say for you first year MND students, engage with your mentors. I think, yeah, so that's really covering the mentors. So how do you get involved? I'll be, your mentors will be contacting you. So I've got a list of the mentor groups here. If you have a look to see if you can scan down your name for Nathaniel and Sarah, and then for Eva and Andrea. Can everyone see your name on that list somewhere?
If your name's not on the list, it's probably because you joined us after the lists were done, so you might want to touch base with Jane and she can allocate you to one.
And I might have allocated you in the wrong geographic area if you had a Victorian address or you've actually moved. But that's fine. And you don't have to stick with the same mentor if you actually have a contact with one of the other mentors, or you've got a friend who's in a different mentor group. You don't have to stick with that mentor. So, are we ready now to?
Sorry, we can split off, but I might because I know that we're running a bit behind time, but we've got time for peer mentors in here. With the MNDs, that kind of brings it to an end. Sorry, kind of brings an end to the kind of information that we wanted to share with the MND students for today. But while the B&Ds are meeting with their mentors, I'm going to be in the room next door. If you have any questions or you want to touch base with me about anything, sort of one-to-one or in the other room, I'll be in there for the next 15 minutes or so for you to come and touch base, say hello, or clarify anything that you need to clarify. Otherwise, MNDs, welcome. I'm really looking forward to working with you for the next couple of years through your degree. My door is always open, so feel free to reach out, email, give me a call, because I enjoy hearing from you and working with you. All right. So thank you for your attention today, MNDs. We might move into that room, or you can head off and go and explore the universities, while the B&Ds can stay in here with Jane and the peer mentors, and I'll come back.
Okay.
So thanks everyone.
So, if you're on Eva's group, if you want to go over here, we'll have Sarah over here, Andrea over here, and Nat.
I was like, okay, I know from these slides, kind of.
Okay. Oh, you're on it. No, this is only bachelor's, because these other mentors so you're bachelor's. Whereabouts do you live? No, okay, I think.
It's just probably this one's been and then I like to take care of this.
Okay, you might want to go there, that's fine. And
then also,
where do you live? Which base? Richmond Bay. Wow. Where can we stay?
That's really helpful. And then just yeah, that's really helpful. And then if you like taking notes, suggest just do notes. But I think the rest of the focus on memory because that's just helpful.
Just trying to remember.
There's no issue with this one. It's a totally way
Yeah.
And it does get a lot less stressful. University is actually much easier when everyone says this, if organized. I think if you've got some time, have a look at your tutorials and tracks. Figure out where it is on campus.
First the topic was for example, like 23 when I have class and 6.
Sorry, what are you asking?
It's like the date,
The date?
yeah.
So your timetable tells you on Monday, so that would be from probably from 11.
Something will come up and you should get email.
So next week I'll have
Yes.
and it will be repeating in there.
Yes, but if you actually
So I did first website I did. They're all online.
when you actually
Everything the library is amazing to use. There's always a link like updates yeah, so that's helpful. But the nice thing about having the textbook is that the online version has limited number of people. So most of the exams and tests are open. So if you're doing an exam and you're trying to use a textbook, that's very difficult. But
if you put on
yes. So I would leave it the first 2 years, social biology one, that is very useful. It's not physiology, but it's not like it is expensive.
Basically every lesson is like for the news So, but I've suggested new students for
Yeah. Are you an international student?
Yeah, so
Yeah. Do you want to go with Matt? Because he's one of his go join his group.
well, there could be like three
Yep.
different
Yep.
That's a really good class. So it is worth workshop.
Yeah,
Definitely check that out. That'll set you up.
they really liked
For biology, we don't understand it's
have
zero and it's just because not many things link to each other.
How are you guys feeling about finding the class?
For,
Horrible.
but for chemistry, it kind of snowballs. Everything
Lots
builds
of
up.
hand stuff, which I think
If you got any questions, clarify with me.
and I think it's got like some bridges, like little maps. Like,
But there's no expect you to go and say apply after 5 standard.
yeah, because you'll be just
Like unless some lecturers like they reply on weekends.
yeah. It's a good stress.
Say
In my
stressful
first year, I was
studying. If you are consistent in your work, like
No,
you
get really strong
can every day you spend 1 hour, 2 hours like being focused.
why you chose this
This assumes that you have all your
and I want to give you like study tips, and it's my best study
not
tips, you guys.
really like
because it
know
does
at least
come
something
up
You learn like fun things.
every day consistent 1 hour study.
so glad I did it.
If that
But
makes sense.
it can be really tough. So
So previously,
I know it's terrible
why did I
study.
all my suggested advice
But really, I had to do fantastic.
is whatever you want to do, whatever you want to enjoy for you. So you all have the time to
Do you guys want to have a bus?
a very good balance between
So there's a bus that runs out the front here, so you first year when you are like
your studies, your
100 different
just
campuses,
don't
that bus will take you the whole way around.
general trend.
Yeah, so it stops you really all the buses. There's a bus stop just there.
The general trend that
But I know as well that student support is
a
amazing.
lot of people start to prioritize
Yeah,
their work over
like
their
I
studies.
actually had fun with one of my papers. I got
So
back.
make sure that you have enough time to do your work. So this is not recommended.
So yeah,
It's there for you to use it, but there's something called
Oh,
time.
okay, yeah. It's just like
By the name itself, you get to ask questions.
and it's very tricky as well.
How they work is that you can apply up to 3 days of time extension.
Anybody thinking about joining any
If
club?
your work commitment is burnt out or you're sick,
Maybe.
so
Have a think about it.
apply it like
In your first year, you'll find
half an hour before you take because no one, like not many lecturers check
cannot run this
so try to apply it beforehand. And how they work is that
and have a
so I come from Singapore, right? So I ask
common
my
suffering.
they come every day, but here it's special.
It's like running out of road.
Like if I apply one time extension on Friday, I ask for 2 days, then today is Tuesday. So they don't count it. Okay, so that's that.
What's everyone's first class?
So what is your first assignment about?
I don't think
Yeah,
about
the first
nutrition-based subjects.
Is it like a bio? Like my first one was like horrifically daunting.
So if you need any
Oh, that's
assistance,
just cute. That's fun.
How's
Is
it
everybody else at lab coats and their lab notebooks? Okay, well here's a little hot tip. While you're on campus, or next time you're in, it doesn't matter, up on the main campus, there's the post office.
yeah, they'll be
And
more
then
than
you
willing
can buy
to
this little lab book, you'll need for biology, because you like fill it out with your
sorry, what's that?
experiment details.
Brian?
So purchase one of those, they're about $8, and then also for as well, and you can buy those at the post office as well.
I think that's quite important. Okay, it does change so much.
Oh, we're on to main campus. Oh my god, okay.
I started out
So we've got like, so this is like below, you know how like when you drive here? So you drive here and you pull here, so it continues uphill.
Then I
Main
did
campus is up that hill.
on my laptop.
you
that was
follow that road for
definite. That
about
was
10
really
seconds.
helpful.
There's a whole other area. If you're going from here to there, there's a bridge that connects the two. If you
So
If you're
I can
I
show
did
you
all
after
my
if you like. We can go for
lectures
a
were
walk.
online.
whether they're
Yeah, it's a bit hot though, so it's up
I
to
did
you.
it
But
just during
or you can have
COVID,
a group class.
which sucks.
Yeah,
If you have the option to go in face to
it's
face,
just up
do
the
it.
hill and it's got like
Watching them online is really hard.
where all the ovary posts, did you see all the ovary posts?
because they really affect
I
how
would really
your
like going to
It's got like a pub,
some
pharmacy, burrito.
because it's a really
like for me
great
personally, I
like
like
cheese and things.
Oh, okay, well that's good. That'll show you around there. Yeah, yeah. No, the campus is very spread out, and then it's more.
and I suppose you want but I think for me
They can do 20 touches, so they're running both directions. I guess
it's good to have a few friends around
then it'll go
university to
up the main and then
And I
down
can
and then
actually search through your entire study, so whether it's across all years.
that's how you read
And
it.
I'm just thinking at last semester, we should start it last year.
So the next day is the
It's
same walk, but
really useful.
do take care of
I
yourself.
also use like
no, so I don't know what Ken's going to be doing this year. It might be different when I did it, but when I did it, you do it together with Ken, you print out
Snipping tool.
each.
Yeah. Snipping tool. You don't know about this.
Yeah, so they're available online, print it out, and it's just basically like highlight the questions, you can fill out the section in that, and that gets graded.
Yeah, but that was really bad.
Yeah, you don't necessarily
Like, you really
have to
can't
see that. That's in general Ken though, so I think if you've got the Ken one,
We did a
applies
thing
one,
at
the
Oasis,
other one is
you
you might, but
Yes. So
yeah, that
don't
was cheap, that was not too bad, we will need to.
they put it in the
I choose to get it, but I didn't.
They do
For my
often have like
entire year,
alcohol
I didn't get
available there, so you
because
don't.
they put it in Canada.
not only effective, but it's also like
And we did like a
it's not a must.
thing we made soup.
Yeah.
I tried to make
The labs
it
can be daunting, but they're actually really cool.
was a bit of a flop, but it was fun.
Yeah. They walk
And it's really nice to get
So you can just you only need that section.
Baby second unit science. Yes, you have to science.
You will supplement your or if you want to buy a book, you can put money for friend of mine. You can just like
Yeah, look, me too. I'm like, school was like 15 years ago for me. Like, I don't know how it works, but it is. Yeah, they're very supportive of demonstrators.
international
Because
students in
I guess the scariest thing
I
about
can't
this
say anything.
is really hard to find jobs for family options or like to find homes or anything. But I really like curious change my mind.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
yeah, it's pretty I would say just enjoy the process.
But
Is that main
it's such a
campus? Yeah.
first 2 years are pretty heavy.
Oh, like up around.
I
there, like,
didn't actually try to drop chemistry, chemistry, so it was a bit
So
of a
they didn't
shock.
take you up to like
Especially
Angkor
by
or anything like that. Yeah, that's cool. Thank you.
just take yourself through it.
So it's for sciences where they didn't take you, they'll all be up there. But yeah, so you know how that's got that main path that leads to the stairs, you go up there, so that's Angkor upstairs. And chemistry will be on that side, but biology will be behind that.
That's why
In another
stand
stage.
whereas there's no way to remember everything.
Oh, it's always open, it's just that. I don't know, maybe I'll
Studying under the favorite, which is very interesting.
Next semester you do one.
It should be open.
Perhaps it's fun.
Not so scary, but the next semester will
It's
be
very
one.
hard. And everyone's so helpful.
One hour
So I
So just a disclaimer.
Yeah. That's pretty much what I did.
Ever have to write
Everyone's
everyone's so
I ended up in like someone's staff group, like,
Please do not just I don't know
Anyway,
what
once you
you
get
do
into
not
much of you, which is nice.
please stop
Yeah, it's
thinking
very
like
relaxing. It's a nice environment.
always get it out.
Yeah. It gets, everything kind of gets thrown at you at once. So that's why it's really good to have time before you actually start.
Last
You
year
actually start learning.
Parking over there
Make
is
sure
on
you
fine. Parking
kind of
over
feel
there
through
is
compared to that kind of system.
It's like
using sand and the whole lab's got like a
Do you guys know what when you go on flow, you'll see your classes. So when you go on your classes, so I recommend that you pull that and go into that, and I've got all your assessment pieces in it. See what you're in here, and you've got student help, training plan, work schedules,
I did. I worked 2 days a month.
So I find
Well,
that
that's a really long house, but it was not cheap.
starting semester.
But cutting down
coming
now.
up when.
So I recommend one.
How do you all feel about
I
lectures,
started
workshops,
working as a
tutorials?
barista, and now I've started
We feel like we know the
which is really great.
We want to know the differences, or?
Yeah. Cool. So like it's really great communication skills, getting to help with myself, and actually
Yeah, like they switch to like blend.
I mean, like what kind of
So like lectures and add on online, and that works really well.
Yeah, yeah.
But then you'll have like in-person classes, workshops, tutorials, that sort of thing. And you're just like you'll be in person, and they're really great. Like go in. So I do recommend going in those. And then like a smaller class.
That's possible. I've done that before, and that is possible, especially
Got a
in first
workshop,
year.
a tutorial, you know, about
I would
10 to
do
20.
that in second year if you can.
So it's a bit like being in school,
So everyone's yeah. I would say 15 to 20 times. Yeah.
So they're really quite good. I would recommend going to class.
So you're getting the new nutritional awareness.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was quite
Yeah.
close. Well, that was all.
Yeah.
Like previously I couldn't really speak like
So what job do you take? Stressful times too. Yeah.
So if you guys we might wrap up the discussions for now. I think it sounds like lots of questions and things, so which is great, and I think it's really valuable to keep in touch. So happy to field queries and things like that.
Yeah, right. Any questions from my way? Raise some questions as well.
We might wrap up this part of the session just so that we can go through some of the BND info before I let you all go. I don't want to kind of not give you the opportunity to clarify anything with me before you head off. But I would like to thank the 4 mentors, not only for coming today and sort of hanging around and milling around for the session today, but also for their time and the dedication that they're putting into the peer mentoring process. So program. So thank you to all 4 of you and for making yourselves available. It's really valuable, and I really recommend that each of you keep in touch with your mentors. They're very happy to field questions and provide support where need be. So yeah, make the most of that opportunity. But again, as Jane said, it is an opt-in. You're not obligated. So if it's something that you feel you won't, you don't need at this point in time, then don't feel obligated to maintain those links. All right. So thank you, mentors. Very, very helpful and lovely to see you all.
You guys in the next week or so.
And so for the B&D students, I've just got a few things to run through before I let you go, because if you need to head off, then go ahead. But otherwise, just have a few more, 10 minutes of your time, hopefully, just to run through just some of the formalities of the program. Thank you very much, Sarah. I'll see you next week. So, feel free to move if you don't want to get your neck bent trying to look at the screens. So I guess I just wanted to wrap up with just running through some of the formalities of the program that you've all signed up for 4 years. And just to give you an opportunity to ask me any questions about, you know, the logistics of the program, study plans, all of that kind of thing. So shouldn't take too long, and then you can head out and find yourself some coffee or some lunch or whatever before moving on with your day. But I guess just to clarify, you know, there are some of you in the room who've come from other universities and have done a bit of study, so this year for you might not be full-time, and it might be a little, you know, an amended study plan, but in general the B&D, as you're all aware, is 4 years of full-time study. It's offered full-time. If you need to amend that, then please come and make a time to chat with me before making any changes. Mainly because if you change one topic, there's usually a big flow on, okay? And where you think that you might be adding on 6 months to your degree, it may be a year or 18 months. So don't make any changes without just clarifying and making sure that you're on the right track. So, you know, at the end of, you know, the course aims, I'm not going to go through them in word for word, but really at the end of the 4 years, you will graduate here as a professional dietitian. You can also call yourself a nutritionist, that can take all of the information, the skills, the knowledge, the science, the theories that you learn over the next 4 years to be able to work with individuals and clients, individual clients, groups, and even like policy and government to promote health and prevent illness. Okay, so and also you know, sort of help promote health in the broader sense at policy level. So you've got a lot of learning, a lot of practice and things ahead of you over the 4 years. But at the end, you'll graduate as an accredited, you know, from an accredited program. You'll be eligible for the accredited practicing dietitians program with DA, so APD, which is kind of our, I guess, we're not a registered profession, but that's kind of our registration type program. And at the end of this, you'll be able to work in a big variety of settings. So we're not training just clinical dietitians or just community dietitians. We're training you for a variety of settings, including, you know, anything from sort of, you know, aged care through to pediatrics, through to research, and anything in between. Things like, you know, emerging areas of practice such as media and marketing, all of those kind of things. And there's probably jobs that don't yet exist. So, you know, jobs that are out there now is quite different to what it was, say, 10 years ago or even 5 years ago. There's, you know, not just the traditional dietetic roles anymore, there's a whole range of opportunities out there. And the other thing that, you know, the next 4 years will do is, you know, encourage you to become a lifelong learner. So I think someone said to me before they were leaving in the master's group about, you know, when I finish here, how do I specialise in a particular area? If I'm really interested in oncology, how do I learn more about that? And it's part of that lifelong learning. There will be further, you know, courses, short courses, webinars, reading, all of that kind of thing that you will do on an ongoing basis to continue your learning. All right? So it's not like 4 years, I'm done, move on. It's a process, it's something that you will go on to do for the rest of your career. So the general B&D Year 1 study plan looks like this. So 4 topics in a semester. If you have more than 4 topics in a semester, then your enrolment isn't correct, and you need to let me, you know, either review it or let me know, and we can work something out. Fortunately, or unfortunately, you might think, you now only have to do 1 chemistry topic. Up until this year, you had to do 2. So now we've got 1 chemistry, and we've introduced psychology as a topic this year, which is all in semester 1. And then in the second half of the year is where you start to introduce those nutrition topics, so the general foundation nutrition. You'll find that, you know, in things like psychology and chemistry, research, study and skills, they are big classes. You know, there's 200, 300 students doing those topics. And so you know, hopefully today you've recognised a few faces and you'll be able to search each other out in the crowd so that you can link up a little bit more. And then when you come to doing the food topics in semester 2, those classes are somewhat smaller and you'll be able to find each other a little bit more readily. So it is a big year. It's quite a heavy workload, and it is something that you'll need to sort of plan out so that you can, you know, maximise your success through the semesters. but hopefully you'll find it enjoyable. In the first semester, students sometimes struggle because there is no nutrition, and it's kind of like, well, I'm here to do nutrition, I'm here to be your dietitian, and I'm not doing any nutrition. But rest assured it's coming, and that all of that kind of stuff that you're learning in semester 1 is relevant for future topics. Right? Sometimes it's hard to see the relevance, like why am I doing chemistry? But you'll find that you need that for biochemistry. All right, so it's all linked and it's all scaffolded. When you move into year 2, you'll see that there's much more nutrition. So you've still got 4 science topics in biochem and physiology, so 2 in both halves. But you've got more nutrition. So you've got food products and preparation, where you'll be cooking, you'll be using different products and developing products and things. You've got what we call ICEP, so that's sort of more the sociology and ecological influences around food. And you've got nutrition across the life cycle. I guess important to note, there are some topics that are available online and in person, so you can choose what fits with your schedule more readily. Life cycle is probably our first topic that's all online for nutrition. Otherwise, the rest of them sort of are either a hybrid or all in person. So currently you do have one elective where you can choose from a recommended list. That may change by next year, but at the moment that's how it stands. And some students do the sports nutrition topic or other topics in that space. It's year 3 where you start, I guess, learning and working more as that dietitian and that nutritionist practice. So, you'll learn like a nutrition care process and the communication topic, how to work with individuals. You'll practice your interviewing. You'll learn how to do nutrition assessments and how to educate patients around lifestyle conditions. And then you'll move into the sort of the more placement readiness topics in semester 2. So those kind of, the meaty topics in semester 2 are what are building you ready for placement in final year. Right. You do have a couple of placements in year 3 in semester 1. So that's like a 2-day observational placement and a 3 to 4 week ward placement, like a block placement where you'll get out there and start interviewing clients. All right. So it's not until year 3 at this point in time where you start doing some nutrition and dietetic placements. And that's in readiness for year 4. Okay, where year 4 is the year that, it's a great year in terms of you're out there doing everything. You're out there on different placements, meeting and greeting and working and doing what you hope to be doing when you finish. It's a big year in terms of we start in the 2nd week of January. And don't finish until sort of first week of December. So it's a big year and long year, but it's the exciting year where you're all out there doing what you hopefully want to be doing by the time you get to year 4. All right, and that's also where you get more of the research content as well. You may be aware we've got an honours program within our B&D, so you can come out of the 4 years with an honours degree, as opposed to doing it sort of after your degree, which some of you may be interested in, and that's based on your GPA in year 3. Okay, so in year 3, we'd look at GPAs and and offer students that are interested a place in honours for final year. All right, and that's a 6-month honours project that you undertake with a variety of different settings. Still do all your placements as everyone else does, but it's a research kind of placement in the second half of the year. So that seems far away, okay, but I can guarantee the last 3 years have gone really quickly, and that's with COVID and closed downs and all of that kind of stuff. So I'm assuming the next 3 years will go just as quickly, and before you know it, I'll be there talking to you about placements. In terms of placements, we have a number of key partners, and these are also people like practitioners come and teach into our program from some of these places. So, we have dietitians from the Royal Adelaide and Flinders and so on come and teach into the program. Similarly, we have people from Women's and Children's come and teach. So not only do they provide placement opportunities, but they also inform and teach into our programs. So, we've got placements and partners at Carlin, Salin and Narlin. You'll hear those acronyms a lot. The Women's and Children's, so they're kind of all of our metro places. And then we've also got placements in country health and interstate. So If there's anyone in the room who's from the Northern Territory, then it is highly likely that you'll go back there for placement in final year. And similarly, if there's anyone from Tasmania, you may well go back to Tasmania to do placements. If we don't have any Territorians or Tasmanians, then someone else will go. All right? And I can guarantee that all of you, well, 95% of you at some point, will do a placement that's in a rural setting. So whether that's Whyalla, and rural can be anywhere from Port Lincoln to Mount Barker. Okay? Believe it or not, Mount Barker is still classed as rural. So, you know, while that might, some will find that exciting, some might be daunted, it's a really valuable opportunity because that's where lots of jobs are, is out in the country. And we also have a number of community public health partners as well that come and teach or provide placements here in South Australia, but also interstate as well. And I guess just to flag to you, you don't organise your own placements, we do all that for you. All right, so you don't need to worry about making contact. Is everyone, I think everyone is enrolled. Pretty sure you're all fully enrolled and registered for classes. I touched upon earlier, you know, needing to get from one end to the other, and hopefully you can work that out. If you've got any timetable clashes, first of all, try and see if you can swap your registration of classes to fix that. Otherwise, let me know and we can see what we can do. But as I mentioned, if you do need to make a change for whatever reason, let me know. All right, and we can talk about what that change is and what the implications are of that. Note the crucial dates. So last day to enrol in topics, if you haven't already enrolled, is end of week 2, so Friday the 10th. Up until that point in time, you can make changes. Census and enrol in other things. In census date is the end of week 5. Up to that point, you can unenroll, but you won't be able to enrol in anything else. And then you've got the 2 dates that are relevant for withdrawing with or without fails on your transcript. So just note those things. And, oh look at that, I finished on time. Any questions or comments or anything that you wanted to clarify with me before you go and see if you can grab a cup of coffee or whatever it might be?
Yeah. It's a while away because it came up. I'm just wondering about placements and if there is any consideration for out of uni responsibilities as to where you're placed.
Yeah, so good point, good question. So obviously people have different things going on outside of university. So for final year placements, which is like the big meaty ones, a survey goes out sort of around July, August to students, really asking if there are any barriers to being sent elsewhere. And that, things that we're looking for there is like, are you a primary carer for anyone, whether it's children, older parents or whatever? Do you have a mortgage? Those, rent or whatever that you need to factor in. So we do ask for factors like that, and where possible, we, work within those. Okay, but I guess to note, a barrier isn't that I've got a part-time job, unfortunately. Okay, and so I did hear some of the mentors talking about part-time jobs and who works and who doesn't work. Obviously, everyone needs cash. And so that's an important consideration. You all might need to work to varying degrees, and I support that. We all need to live. But I guess just thinking about in the first couple of years, you may be able to work more than in the second couple of years. When you're on placement in final year, placements are full-time. So it's 8:30 till 4:30, 9 till 5 for 20 odd weeks of the year. Right? And so within that, it's hard to maintain your 20-hour-a-week part-time job. All right. So I always say to students, if you can start sort of squirreling away some money, so that you can afford to cut down your hours in final year, then start that now. Similar in third year. Third year is quite full on in terms of workload, and so thinking about how you might manage part-time work. In that year as well. We've had students in the past who, in year 3, they're working 30, 35 hours a week outside of uni, and they are a wreck. It's a lot, and I try to say, if you can avoid it, don't put yourself through that pain, and try and think that, well, uni, I'm here for however, X number of years, whether it's 3 or 4 years, let's get it done, and let's get it done as painlessly as possible. Let's not add any more pressure than we need to. But I do know that everyone has to work, we all have to work, and so it's finding that balance or that sweet spot. Right. But I guess just thinking ahead how you might manage that. Right. Any other questions? Probably overwhelmed. I will put the slides up on Flow that you can refer to. You hopefully have my email address. Please email me if you've got any questions, anything that's come up, cropped up, whether you want to make changes or just want to talk about, study plans and so on. Give me feedback. I'm always open to positive and constructive feedback about the programs, because that's really important for us to be continually looking at the quality of how we're teaching and the learning. I'm more than happy to get that information as well. Right. You're probably all like, I've had enough. So if I'm happy to stick around for a little while longer if you've got any questions on an individual basis. Otherwise, it's really lovely to see you all and meet you all. Kind of, I will learn names. It might take me a little while, but I'll learn names over time. In terms of teaching, you won't see me until year 3, but you will see other teaching staff. But we'll be in touch with me, over those couple of years in other capacities. Right? And we do plan to sort of have some events in the not too distant future where we bring you all together, like more social events, so that you can link in with each other and with us, sort of in a less formal setting. All right. Okay, go and get some vitamin D. Don't spend too long out in the heat, and get some lunch and things. And we will see you all very soon. Enjoy the last few days of the break.
Thank you.
No problem.